After the fireworks of week 1 at Daytona, we take the Caribbean cruise down south as we head to Brazil for week 2 of the Race Anywhere World Series, live here on Absolute Sim Racing. Good evening, everybody. My name is Craig King, and with me on the camera and the microphone is Daniel Handover. We are here at the slightly cool Autodrome Jose Carlos Paque, better known, of course, as Interlagos. Opened in 1940, the former Autodrome de Interlagos renamed after the late Jose Carlos Paque in 1986. He won his only F1 race here at this track. This now 4.3 kilometer, 15 corner track is known for its anti-clockwise direction. It's changing elevation, not just on the track, but also how high it is in the air. And of course, that iconic run up to the start finish line as you go through turn 13, 14, and 15 at Sudiba du Boxes. Now, of course, it's had so many magical moments in F1. And of course, it was, for a brief time, the final stop of the season. So, some fantastic moments. Senna's magical victory here in the wet with only one gear. Alonso's scary crash in the tyre wall with Mark Webber. And don't forget Max Verstappen in the wet as well. He's had some good times around here. And we cannot forget is that Glock. Well, after round 1, a lot of drivers were looking to restart their season after what was a little bit of a topsy-turvy for some of them. And I think it's safe to say, Dan, with this tight track, it promises to be a lot of close racing.
It certainly is, absolutely. You know, realistically, we know Interlagos can produce some very, very good racing. As you say, we've seen it in both real world and in sim racing also. Realistically, again, it's a tricky track. You know, you just mentioned it before that obviously there is no rain currently in iRacing yet, but it is on the way. Still, though, turns 1 and 2, you can just see on your screen there, you've got to be careful, you've got to be cautious, because if you do go in just a little bit too hot, especially on cold tyres, these medium speed corners will bite you if you're not careful.
Yeah, well, you just see as well. I'm just seeing James Warren. Oh, James Warren's just hit the wall as well on his outlap. I think that was going up turn 6 into 7, and he will not be able to set a time. But yeah, that just shows you it's very tight around here, and especially with what happens around here. It was actually, I was right, it was turn 6 and 7. What can happen around here with the grass, with the clipping of the curves? You've just got to be careful. A lot of space on these tracks. You can take a lot of the curves around here, which does help you, but it's risk reward, of course. And also, some of these drivers will be coming up shortly to. I think one of the hot topics is turn 10, Pico di Pato. It's a very good late braking corner for overtakes, but it's very hard to make overtakes around here. You mentioned, of course, turn 1, probably the best place to make an overtake, but you've got to be so careful around there. But you look at it, turn 1, turn 4, maybe turn 8, and really, when you look at it, I think that's the only places really that you could make a solid overtake around here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, people have just got to, like we have seen before, they've got to bide their time. They can't jump into something too quickly. They've got to make sure that they're nice and controlled and cut. You can't rush into something like this, especially at a track like Interlagos. It doesn't take any prisoners, like we've just discussed, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing some amazing overtakes. We've seen that obviously in round 1. We saw that in the preseason testing as well. But you've got to be decisive at the same time, as well as. You know, while you've got to be decisive, at the same time, on the other hand, you've got to make sure that you know full well that the move is going to be there, and the move is there before you even enter it. You know, you should see drivers probably waiting another couple of laps, really being decisive before they make a move stick, because if it doesn't work, it's a big, big accident here.
Yeah, and of course, I like to always talk from an overall standpoint about the run. You set yourself up for the run. And that's what you've got to do around here. You'll see a lot of close racing, and that's also going to play into effect that you realize, once again, if you haven't seen the World Series before, it's a 75-minute race with 2 mandatory pit stops. The fuel saving is crucial, and you may see that around here. So that is one thing to just play point is, can you get the run? If you get a good move on the final braking corner, which of course is turn 12, junk out, do you get the run up 13, 14, 15 to the start line? That famous hill that we talk about. Are you able to do it? Can you make that move? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with some of these drivers as the amateurs are out there at the moment doing their qualifying laps. It's going to be interesting to see what strategy is taken. Knock on wood, we don't see a safety car like last week, but I'm just really wondering And another thing as well, with the colder track, that's another thing I was going to bring up. It's 31 Celsius at the moment. As you may have seen, the World Series admins decided to take the safe option and have the race in the afternoon on sim time, so we're not dealing with a 50 Celsius track. So 31 Celsius, 88 Fahrenheit. For the race, it will get cooler. And I think that's going to play into it as well with tire management, because 75 minutes, it's not a VRS race. It's not an ESS race or an IMSA race. You know, you're going that extra mile, and those tires are going to take a pounding around here.
Very much so, as you say. The cooler track temps are certainly going to help. They're definitely not going to be... some of it isn't going to be plain sailing for the drivers. They will have to make sure that they take caution, and they do take caution as much as they can, because, as you say, through here, as you're going through the infield section, it's all very heavy braking zones. It's medium to low-speed corners, admittedly, but you're still scrubbing the tyres as well. You have to stay on the lock for a little bit longer than you would initially think or really initially want. So... you know, again, you've got to make sure that you are conservative with your tyres. It sounds very, very strange as well, but what you should see is no driver should be going past 90 degrees of lock on these medium speed corners. If they are, that's just scrubbing tyres. That's a telltale sign that tyres are being scrubbed. So if they can keep it under 90 degrees of lock, they're well away. Johan Aston has actually just gone up into P2. That is his qualifying done and dusted. Haddad is actually just about to go there. His second lap isn't going to be any better, but still running pole at the moment with a 32.69. And there's not really many people at the moment that I can see that are in a position to beat that.
No, I'm not seeing anybody at the moment. Henning Hay just coming in with a fourth there with that 32.766, but I think that's it. We do see Werner S. He went purple at one sector, but it's yellow right now. He's going to come across the line right now. He needs that 132. I don't think he's going to match it. It's going to be tight, and it's actually very slow. He does get better time. In fact, it is pole, sorry. It is pole, sorry. Yes. I did not see that. A 132.645 does take pole position by 0.05 of a second after a slow, well, that was a slow little section there. And I got to be brutally honest, when you mentioned you shouldn't be having more than 90-degree lock, I don't know if I actually go over that around here. I think you might want to slap my wrist for doing that. But the infield here is one of my favorite places around here is that infield. The run at turn 6, Ferradura to La Helena in 7, turn 8, the Este into 9, Pinarino, which is that slow left-hander, and of course turn 10, Bigo de Pato. It's one of my favorite corners. I'm giving away my strategies right now. If I'm ever in a race with anybody here that's listening to my voice, if I've got a run in turn 10, I will send it, because it is a fantastic corner that you can take, especially with some of these other corners with the slow corners. You can take so many different lines around these corners and get a similar result, which is such a good thing about this infield section.
Absolutely. Like we were talking about this before the broadcast, weren't we? This isn't my personal favourite track. I'm not a big fan of Interlagos. I don't know. There's just something about it that I just can't quite get on with. Really, I love medium to high speed corners. This track should actually suit me perfectly down to a T. For some reason, it doesn't. Not entirely sure why. But there we go. It's not for everyone. If we were all the same, it'd be a very boring world, wouldn't it? So I can see the appeal of it, and drivers, if you can master something like this circuit, it's a very, very technical circuit, but it's a fast circuit as well. So, you know, again, there's lots and lots of different things you've got to consider. As we were talking about tyre wear, you know, mastering tyre wear, if you can get a bit of fuel saving going as well, which we may see a little bit here also, that will also play a factor. So lots and lots of technical sides to this circuit, which is fantastic. It makes for an interesting race. We have got the Pro-Am drivers out on circuit now as they're coming through in that out lap, and they've got 2 flying laps, bear in mind, 2 flying laps, and that is it. You can see drivers trying to warm their tyres up as much as they can. Realistically, the fastest way to warm your tyres up in iRacing is to simply drive as fast as you possibly can. We've done testing previously, and tyre warming doesn't do all that much, which is unfortunate. It should do a little bit, but it really, after testing it, found out it doesn't really do all that much. It's more a placebo effect. Instead, I still do it. I don't know why. it's just the thing you do.
So weaving doesn't warm the tires up.
Not from the testing we did.
From all these people you see in officials when they're doing the formation lap, and they shake the wheel violently.
It does nothing.
It does nothing. It does nothing.
The thing that makes a more of a difference, okay, the thing that does make more of a difference is to ride the brake when you're on the outlap. That we found actually does give some form of advantage, because you get a little bit of heat from the alloy into the carcass, but then you also warm the brakes up as well. So you're more confident. You're able to be more confident going on the brakes, and you also don't get that what you see as well. Sometimes you see people accelerate really hard, then brake really hard as well. Again, it just causes accidents, especially in an official race. So again, just ride the brake a little bit, and you're good to go.
I was like, ride the brake. Yes, I'm doing the right thing. But then I realized, no, I speed up and hit the brakes. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. Right, I will take that into consideration. It's always nice to learn something. If you don't,
There you go.
You're doing things wrong. The pro-ams are going out there. We did go over the points, but of course, with the amateurs, Henning Haig is leading the way. Ingo Lapsian and Dean Tim second and third, and of course we've got Albin Kjellberg leading the way for the pro-ams, and Cody Pride in P2. Ryan Hamilton with that surprising P3. I think he shocked himself, but it was a fantastic drive there for Hamilton in his first race in the pro-ams. Just seeing some of these drivers around here today, and of course, I mean, the elephant in the room here, Dan, we haven't talked about is the altitude. Now, everybody who's a GT3 driver knows that I wouldn't say drama, but knows of what happened last season when GT3s came to Interlagos. It was a BMW fest because of the altitude and the turbo. I don't think they've changed that per se, but you can see there are quite a few BMWs, as Will Richards just goes up to pole. You can see quite a few BMWs up there at the moment. I think the altitude is going to be a favor for these BMWs. It's
interesting, isn't it? I'm looking through and actually say that it's generally a wash of. I mean, the three biggest sort of contenders in terms of I think it's actually the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini is still the most popular car, I think, in this series. Although it might be very closely tied with the BMW, but as you say, this could very well be a section which just this could be a track which does favour the BMWs. Thomas Reiter does go in to P4, he was P3 for a brief moment, then Daniel Sedgley decides against that. Ethan Bass as well up into P6. Good to see the Ford out and about once again. But yeah, at the moment, the top five, you've got Albin Kjellberg in P2, and then the rest of the top five are all BMWs. So 4 BMWs and 1 Ferrari as it stands. Having a quick look through the timing tower, can't really see anyone that's got some purple sectors apart from, well, there's a couple going about, but one of the main purple sector man at the moment is Will Richardson. He is currently making some move, although Thomas Reiter he's got some purple sectors in him as well. You can see again on the bottom of your screen, that is the sector times for everyone, and that is also what they will be doing, what they're currently doing on this lap. It doesn't show. That was someone going for a spin. Who was that? I think that was Michael Patterson.
Oh, was it Patterson? I thought for a moment that was a Nomad car, but no, I think you might be right here. Did see some purples. We just see this quick replay here.
It wasn't. No.
Just
couldn't quite see who that was.
So Will Richardson does go faster, a 32.016. What a time that is. Anybody else goes, you can see Nick is green everywhere, but there's no purples. What can he do is he's coming around. Daniel, we see Daniel Sedgley here going up as well. The Nick goes up. I don't look like he does very far. It's a 132.420. Thomas Reiter, we see purple. Daniel Sedgley with purple last time. What can these guys do? Sedgley will be one of the first ones to cross the line. He goes into the pits. Reiter does not get pole. He does get a P4 though, that 32.248. At the moment, I think now we see blues. There's Ethan Bass improving his time. He splits. He's still P6, unfortunately. Chris Chatterton might be the only driver at the moment who has a chance, but it looks like he won't be going fastest. He will be going green, and I think then that might be it. So Chatterton just coming across the line right now. It's going to be a 133.6. Does put him down. He's still in the top 10, but a 132.584 is the official time. Just struggling there. There you go. You look at it again. It's still in the top 10. It's BMW 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 BMWs, and then it's just a mix of everything else.
Yep, as you say, it is. If we just have a look at the car logos now, yep, I mean, it's a mixture. It's a mixture at the moment. Yeah, as you say, BMW, Lamborghini, so the top three are all currently different car classes. However, yes, in the top three, majority are BMWs. So whether that's going to have an effect more so in the race, I think, what that would be interesting to see, is how does it fare as we progress through? Because that could be the differentiating factor. We really don't know at this moment in time, but we'll have to see how that goes. Pro-Ams, we've actually got one more. This is Joachim Code. Again, apologies for the pronunciation, but I believe it's Code. That's the correct pronunciation as far as I'm aware. Goes across the line for the slow-mos, moves up into P15 in the Pro-Am category, and that now goes back to the pit lane. And then we will have a brief break or brief few moments of pause, and they will be going into the pro categories. Who is going to come out on top here? This is going to be interesting because, like we said earlier, commitment-based track this is. Oh, this will be exciting.
Be very exciting. And of course, just remember a rundown of those positions if you weren't unaware. No real changes to what the final results were for the first race. So, your top three in the championship, of course, is Harley Horton, Alex Bennett, and Kath Huguenot, followed by Alex Gowan, Sean Campbell, and James Armstrong. So it didn't really change after what happened. But for some of these drivers, like Nick LaBouche, who, it feels like it's his night job. By day, he is he is competing to try and get into the Porsche Pro Esports Championship. By night, he's driving a GT3 for the World Series. But he got caught up in the mayhem and the melee, unfortunately, at Daytona. He's looking for a better time out here today. I think a lot of drivers also looking for better times. There are a few BMWs, but not as many as you would see in other classes. So for the likes of Sean Campbell, he'll be good. LaBouche, of course, he'll be fine as well. Milan Tikins, it's good to see Milan Tikins back out there, the Lamborghini Super Trofeo driver in real life, out there himself for Vector, just having a bit of a warm-up, almost getting into Sean Campbell on the warm-up lap I'm just seeing there. But yeah, not many BMWs. That can be crucial, but there are lots of Lamborghinis. I think the first car to go across, is it Robin Veerman? I think there'll be some more, but yes, there will be a few. These guys have gone into the 131s, by the way. So if you see that fastest time of 132.016 by Will Richardson in the Pro-Am, expect that to be beaten by the majority of this Pro field.
As you say, the Pro is very, very fast indeed. We did see that in practice. Had a little dabble at the Interlagos myself again. I thought, you know what, I might give it a go. So ran a couple of laps, and we'll leave that there. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen here because qualifying, you haven't got too long. Obviously, you've only got 2 laps. So you haven't really got long at all. So you've got to make sure that the first lap, again, is a banker. And then the second lap is when you start pushing. Well, I mean, to be fair, some people do the opposite. Some people really push aggressively on the first lap. Then they have, if it doesn't work out, then they have a banker for the second. Some people do it the way around. Personally, I like to get a banker in first and then push a little bit harder. That's just the way that I'm wired, and that's the way that I prefer to do things. Someone's had a very, very big moment. Who was that? I think that was Martin. Is it Nedger? I can't think.
I think it was Nedgerling. Yeah, I think it was Martin Nedgerling.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, car said no. The car said no. Like snap. That's a shame there. Alex Bennett, though, you can see the purples there. Everyone's going green, of course. Alex Bennett is the first one in the purples, and there goes Nick Madsen. But Bennett responds with another purple. 2 purples for Alex Bennett there. What can he do? He's just got a few more corners to go around. We're currently watching, I think that's Sean Campbell in the BMW. It is. Alex Bennett will be coming around the final corner. Needs a good time. Will he cross the line? Well, he's looking like he's going to be doing a 31, definitely. But how much is it going to be? No, it is not. It's a 31.922. Just gets in. He just gets in. Huguenot just comes in behind, but it's a 32.060.
Sean Campbell's quick.
And Sean Campbell is going very fast, as you'd expect with this car. What can he do? He's going to be coming across the line very shortly. James Armstrong goes into second, but the eyes will be on Sean Campbell. He's been purple, purple, purple. He comes up for the final. It's a 131.412. 3 tenths, almost 4 tenths faster than anybody else after the first lap.
Impressive stuff indeed. We do have Milan Tikins that's actually just went up into P2 with a 31.80 not too long ago. And they've only got, well, he's obviously on his second lap as well. Like I said, only 2 laps to go. Stuart Reynolds currently down in P10 in the Pro category, a little bit behind Rob Veerman. Someone else has just, that was Veerman that's just gone through. So Robin Veerman has gone up now into P10. So Stuart Reynolds has been pushed down to P11 in the Pro category. Cass Huguenot currently sitting in P7. We're seeing a lot of green sectors again, naturally, as you would expect, because the second lap tends to be a little bit faster. Your tyres are a bit warmer. You've got a bit less fuel. But no one at the moment can touch that time set by Sean Campbell, again, in a BMW. But the Lamborghinis, P2, P3, and P4. So, and then followed by Will Richardson in the BMW next time out. So, you know, we've got some pretty close drivers, and we've got some competitive cars, I think, here. Nick Madsen in the Ferrari goes now up into P3. Alex Bennett up into P2. Cass Huguenot, there he goes up into P3 as well. It's closer, but at the moment, Sean Campbell, wow, what a time.
Nick Levushi might have a chance to do this. What can he do as he crosses the line? He had a purple sector. He's going to be coming across the line right now, and I don't think he gets the pole. It's a 1:31.446. Closest person to get by him, Milan Tikins, cannot improve. Alex Bennett improves. He goes into P3. And that's a pole from Alex Gell. That's Alex Gell with a purple final sector, but it's only a 1:31.507. Footwangler, he is green, but I don't think 31.412 is what he's after, and it's a 34.814. Harry Wills have to spin on the final lap. Then a rat comes across. It's not going to be faster. This time from Sean Campbell. What a time. He hasn't even tried a second lap. And he is just out of it. Harley Horton's the last one to cross the line. I think that's everybody. I'm just still in disbelief. Okay, Nick LaBouche getting that 1:31.446. Yes. But Sean Campbell, both of these guys, 1:31.412, 1:31.446. We know what the BMW can do around here, but that's almost a tenth faster than anybody else.
It's fast, isn't it? It's very, very fast. I mean, recently, yeah, that's sort of, I mean, less than half a tenth. You got Nick Lavish, and it's closer, I think. That top three, whether again, really possibly even the top four. But Huguenot and Tigaz, they're very close as well. You look at that, 200 of a second, 2,000 of a second even separate those two. Again, it's close. It's going to be close. We know it was always going to be close. Again, we've seen that in the preseason. We saw that in the first round, and we're going to see it again here as well as throughout the season. So realistically, this is the first part done now for the drivers. They've just got to now focus on the race, because this doesn't necessarily mean Sean Campbell's fast in qualifying. Can he maintain that for the entire race, 75 minutes? We will have to see, because this is going to be the opportunity where drivers are going to, well, like I say, qualifying is only one part of it. One part of this entire round.
Yeah, and definitely, we always talk about that. We always talk about some drivers. They're better at hot lapping. Are they better? Are they better at long stints? We'll wait and see. Especially when you've got Pays Le Mans coming up this weekend. You know, the idea of having being a very good driver in longer runs will really come into play in the weekend, but also here today as well. So that's going to be one to keep an eye out on. Just remember, of course, Race Anywhere World Series, of course, the sponsor is Race Anywhere. And I've been looking at their website again. I was on about their pre-orders that they've got coming up last week. This week, I see some discounts coming. I see on their website that their monitor stands are on discount at the moment. Their triple monitor stand is 15% off, and their single is a 7% off discount. They also have a quad monitor bundle. That's triples and a top for a sim rig. That's a 15% discount. So raceanywhere.co.uk, a lot of sim racing gear there. We're not just talking rigs or monitor stands. We're talking equipment. So we're talking wheelbases, pedals. We're talking everything. Butt kickers. You name it. Race Anywhere does it. So Race Anywhere curated sim racing equipment is the sponsor for the World Series. And I must be honest, when I get some space in this room, I think I might actually invest in one of those rigs, because I'm still on a racing stand. I know that sounds really bad. Yeah, that sounds really bad. So we are, because we're at the moment, we are just waiting to go in, and we're waiting for the session to come up from the World Series. We see a nice lot of people around in the chat tonight. It's nice to see everybody. I'd like to know who everyone's cheering for tonight. And if you are in the race, you can't cheer for yourself. That would be wrong. So I see you, James Armstrong and Milan Tikins. I see both of you in chat, but I'd like to know who chat's pulling for tonight. It's nice to see so many people. And if you like what you see, of course, hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button, and you will know when we go live. Of course, we have the Race Anywhere Transatlantic Championship later tonight for the Americans, which Daniel will be back on the cameras again, pulling the double shift as usual. And that's also promises to be some fantastic racing. I call the World Series the hottest ticket in GT3 racing. I stand by it, Daniel, and I think after what we've seen with qualifying, I think we can prove it, can't we?
I think absolutely, yeah, 100%. You know, the race, it's a long old day for me, put it that way, because yes, I've got another, well, that's best part of probably going to be up for at least another Well, what's the time? 25 past 8 now. Blimey, that's going to be another 5 or 6 hours at least. So it is a long old day. At the same time, never a bad thing. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable racing. I do enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoy it, actually. The Transatlantic Series is amazing. So is, just basically both of these series are two of my favourite leagues that I'm part of now, which is absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, realistically, we do actually see, to be honest as well, we see a lot of drivers coming from the European, so for the Race Anywhere World Series, what we're in now, they move over to the Transatlantic Series as well, and they actually participate in that, which is great. You see people that participate in both, which absolutely, to tell you what, it's good practice though, isn't it? You have two lots of people to race with, you have two lots of people to fight with and to try and gain understanding and improve your racecraft. It's a very, very beneficial thing to do if you can stay up that late, I think.
I can't stay up that late. I don't even stay up that late when I'm doing 24-hour race. I just say, look, let me take an early night and I'll do the early shift. I'll wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and take over the car. I won't do that, especially being I got to wake up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning for my own job. But it's great to see just a mixture as well, because it is different people, it is different drivers, it's different standards, it's different tracks. Some of the tracks they are overlapping on both series, of course, but it's nice to just see the mixture. The Transatlantic Series has some fantastic driving, as does the World Series, So it's really nice to see, and of course as well this season with some of the names we have out there for this season, it's fantastic. I think it's safe to say we're waiting for the session to go off. I think it might be wise to take a break, because we could talk forever. We could talk about everything from F1 to NASCAR to everything, but I think it'd be wise. You don't really want us to bore you for that long. We could go on and on about that, but I think it'd be wise if we take a break. Session will be up soon. It'll be a 10-minute practice session. We'll be back for the start, of course, and I think that's where we will go with that. The Transatlantic races does sound old school from Jesse James Jones there, the RSR driver. Something I have on VHS. It's got that retro vibe to it, but it's so nice to see. So this isn't retro though, this is live. So we'll be back hopefully in the next 10 minutes for the start of race 2 of the series, but of course the only race tonight, 75 minutes of Interlagos, so stick around. Welcome back to the Race Anywhere World Series on Absolute Sim Racing. You can see Interlagos is looking still very clear in the skies, still very warm, but of course, remember, it's a bit cooler as we're in the afternoon session. Drivers are just doing their final warm-ups, and it'd be a good time as well to just, practice your pit entry or practice the pack racing, because there's going to be a lot of pack racing. One thing I forgot to bring over was the last time the World Series came here to Interlagos, it was the sprint race format. 2 sprint races, and the second sprint race in nighttime. And all we saw, which we'll see again today, yes, there was the pack racing, but at some points we were seeing the cars going 2 by 2 down the straights, through the S's, coming down to 6. We saw a lot of 2 by 2. Don't get too worried, Dan. Don't get too worried. They all made it out alive. There was some nice finishes at the end everywhere, but if we see that tonight, I think we're going to be in for a treat.
I'm sure we will be. Very much looking forward to it. Like I said, it's a track that, because I don't race it that much, is what you can actually see elevation changes. Look at that, it's madness. You can see the bottom of the circuit, or the mid of the circuit there, compared to going down to the start-finish, up to the start-finish straight. Absolutely amazing elevation change. I very rarely get to commentate, or very rarely commentate on this track, so I'm excited for it, to be fair. I'm very excited to give it a go, very excited to see how it's all going to pan out. And yeah, I think ultimately there is going to be some fantastic racing. 2 wides a little bit, I'm sure I'll be twitching a little bit, but as long as everyone comes out on top, it doesn't matter.
Well, you hope everyone comes out on top, and that's what we're going to be looking forward to. Checkered flag for practice. It's over, so we are now in the race session. You're going to quickly see the drivers go along. We do have a little bit of time, but we won't go too far down the order. But of course, the BMWs, Sean Campbell and Nick Lewis leading the fray for the pros. Alex Gow and Alex Bennett. The Alexes cannot be separated. 3rd and 4th, Kaz Huguenot and Milan Tikins, 5th and 6th. And of course, Max Furtwängler and Nick Madsen, 7th and 8th. Holly Horton, James Armstrong, 9th and 10th. That brings off the top 10 for the pros. And you'll see the rest scrolling down quickly. Of course, all eyes elsewhere. And the pro-ams, of course, we got to talk about that time by Will Richardson. What a time he set there in quali, and he will lead them off with Svenning Mattis beside him. Alvin Schellberg also in P3. Thomas Reiter will be 4th. Chris Wally, of course, will be 5th, and Thomas Wright and Ethan Bass and Daniel essentially right there. Ethan Bass, of course, in that BMW. It's still alive, as you just see the rest of the pro-ams there. We just quickly see Werner S in at the amateurs in his first race for the amateurs, taking the fray. He would lead them off. Ashraf El Haddad will be P2. Johanna Assen will be 3rd. Ingo Lapsian 4th. Henning Haig 5th. And Frederick Roy will be 6th. And you can just see the rest scrolling down as we do see the pace car starting to go. 54 strong field. What are you looking forward to, Dean, before we start going? Dan, sorry.
Dan even, I was about to say, there we go. I don't know what Dean you're talking about. I mean, to be fair, do you know what I'm looking forward to? Just everyone actually getting through and making sure that we get through the first lap. That's the thing that I'm looking forward to most, to be perfectly honest. We know that it's going to be tricky. We know that drivers are going to make sure that they have to give each other space. They have to give each other room, but at the same time, they need to make sure that they're aggressive and assertive. It's all going to, I'm sure, at some point going to kick off, as long as drivers are sensible. It can't be one. I don't know. Again, this is the age-old saying is you can't win the race on the first lap. It can't be won, but it can certainly be lost for people. But let us hope that is not the case. Sean Campbell will have, he'll be able to go, obviously, within the starting window that is determined by the organisers. So when that comes around, he will then have control of pace and he will have control of when he goes. Similarly, will everyone else in the Pro-Am and Am categories as well. But I am very excited. Pace car's just about to come in and we're going to go racing for 75 minutes here for round 2 at Interlagos.
Here we go. Pace car will slowly go in and then Sean will control the field. He knows what to do. He's a former champion of the World Series. He's in a BMW this series. What's he going to do? He's got the Nicolas Cage helmet. He's raring to go. The green light will not indicate go. It's when this little car goes. The BMW holds them. He holds them. Nick LaBouche is beside him. Alexander Bennett behind them in the Ferrari and the Lamborghini. He waits for the last minute. He is going to wait until the final. Look how long he holds them. This is great move by him. And he's still not gone. He is still not gone. And now he will go. He catches everybody out. And look at it. It's going to be a little bit of a bunch up there. Almost 3 wide at the backfield. In fact, it is near the middle of the pack. It's going to be 3 wide. And then it's a 63. Milan Tikin's off. Milan Tikin goes off. Madsen goes off as well because of it. And that could be... Oh, my word. James Armstrong comes in. It's a big crash. We may see a safety car. Will we see a safety car as the Pro-Ams are coming around? This is going to be a very interesting decision by the stewards.
Well, we're going to have to see. Here come the Pro-Ams coming through. Seems to be relatively clean for the moment, although let's not say anything just yet. Bit of movement down the field. Thomas Jandrius loses a couple of positions, but then gains it straight back. You got Ryan Hamilton trying to make a move. You got Chris Chatterton has lost a little bit as well. Everyone's sort of bunching up, and then we see some gaps as well form. So realistically, dicing in and out of positions as we have normally seen. Everyone's trying to fight for the same bit of tarmac. At the front, though, you got Ethan Bass versus Chris Wally. They're going to go side by side down into turn 2. It's very close. Oh, a big of a moment there from Ethan Bass. That was very, very close indeed. What's happening down in the GT3 field? In the Am category, sorry.
In the amateurs, Henning Haig and Dylan Kinch has come together. And I have no idea what's happened there, but they have come together. I think that was somebody just losing control of the back of the car. Yeah, Dylan Kinch lost control of the car, trying to avoid, but I believe there was contact. We may just see it on the replay shortly, but there was some contact from Henning Haig. There's been a lot of chaos at the start of this race, and people just got to hold themselves together. We know what this track can cause at the start of races, the massive rundown to turn 1. It does happen, but the front of the field is still Sean Campbell, now putting a half a second lead over Nick LaBouche. Alex Gow is trying to threaten the pro driver, and Alex Bennett, of course, still behind them. The top 5 separated by 2 seconds, top 6 by 3 seconds, just goes to show you the difference here. But here we're seeing Valentin Amblad trying to make a move himself. There's move everywhere. They are still pretty bunched up around here. Amblad, of course, unfortunately had that incident at Daytona that took him out. What can he do? You can just see now. Look at this 2 wide. Oh my word! This, please, guys, keep it together. Keep it together. Kalimi, they are 2 by 2, 2 by 2, as we were saying. 2 by 2, 2 by 2. Can Augusto make this with Veerman? He may have to make the run down here into turn 6. They're still side by side. Still side by side. Is he going to hold on to this? It's going to be a late braking from Veerman, and Augusto's not going to make this. Great defense there from Robin Veerman, but he's gone wide. Can this set up anything into turn 8? It cannot. Martin Nidlik is now threatening. He wants in. Stuart Reynolds wants in, and everybody's got to calm down a little bit. This is Interlagos. This is what we expect to see. A little bit of will they, won't they, and then just stay together. But the more time they fight each other, the more time that group in front of them are going to get away.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at the start here. This is Milan Tikans that just gets a little bit bunched up. So he actually loses it by the looks of it on his own accord. And then there's just a few cars taking avoiding action, naturally, as you would do. James Armstrong is one of them. So again, as we go through, let's have a look at James Armstrong's on board from the RL Abruzzi esports teams. So again, at that point, I mean, a small tap which caused him to go. And does he collect him? He doesn't. Oh, he does actually, to be fair. Who was that he collected? Couldn't quite say. Number 55. So that's Danny Rett. So out very early on. Not ideal. That was the pro field. We'll go back and we'll have a look at the pro-am field and the other instance that we had in a few moments' time. But just going back to the racing as it stands, Augusto Cassiami not able to make the move back onto Veerman. Max Furtwängler. This is his first outing in the number 5 Porsche that we can see from the Effect Esports Orange car. I believe this isn't actually Furt Wangler's first outing. I believe I'm getting confused. Either way, Furt Wangler is currently in P6 with a 2:10 lead over Harley Hornton, who's sitting there or thereabouts. He's got a bit of gap behind him, about 0.4 of a second, so realistically hasn't got too much pressure as it stands at the moment. So I wonder if he's going to be able to pull that down. It's very, very close indeed, though. Harley Horn's going to try and go around the outside of turn 10. That's a very brave move indeed, and that's put Nick Madsen right up into the battle straight away as well.
Oh, he's doing it.
What a move.
That's the move. That's a move. I told you. Turn 10, sorry. Pico di Pato. You can make it, and the full send card there of Harley Horton. Well, I wouldn't say that was a full send. That was a very good aggressive move for the overtake, definitely, and that is what Horton did. He is trying to move up the order like he did at Daytona. He's just going to try and make his way. You can just see the pace. Furt Wangler, unfortunately, got caught out by that, and Nick Madsen goes by. That's just a textbook little move there overall. Now, what do we see just here? This is the replay of the amateur start. This is Levi Johnson. He just goes and he just loses the car there, and he's not the first one to make the mistake, but you can see that just started everything. And here's Henning Haig. He just causes, this one just causes a little bit of an incident. You can see there he's got slow-mo around him. He comes around, he loses control there. Out the exit there, goes to the Culver de Sol, and that was another car that went with him.
Ingo Lapsian, I think.
Yeah, Ingo Lapsian went with him. So very, very interesting what happened there, but you'll see Nick Madsen right now. And again, this is what we expect to see. It's a very grouped up type of racing here. There's nowhere to overtake until you get to the wide areas. So Madsen's just going to have to strap in right now. Maybe do the exact same thing that Harley just did to Max.
Possibly. Again, we'll have to see. This is a move possibly coming up, though. This is Frederick Devoy that's going to try and go through side by side. Who is that? That's Akraf El Haddad. Going to go side by side as they go through turn 3. That's a very, very brave move, but both giving each other just about enough room. So fantastic stuff indeed. We're going to ride on board in a few moments with Edson Manguera just to see. Are going to get front row seats. He might even try and make a move in the Avanti Racing number 7. That's a bit of a lunge. Decides against it though. Manages to get the car stopped. Although Haddad goes a little bit wide. That's going to open the door straight away for Manguera. Up the inside as it stands, but he's going to be now on the outside for the next corner. Can Haddad get the move back past? No, he can't. So Manguera managing to be later on the brakes, carrying the momentum round the outside. Good moving in there. Capitalised on it very, very well when he saw the Haddad going just a little bit wide. A little bit further down in the AM category, that's just a sea of Ferraris that we can see. And you just see there, look at all of them. There's one Porsche mixed in there, and that's Francois Pedral. But ultimately, you've got, this is Gisecki, that we are currently riding on board, or currently on your screen, and the main focus on your screen. He's got Dave Meakin, half a second in front. He's got Ola Sankvist, half a second behind.
Yeah, look at this little train right here. It's the Ferrari train. Very interesting. I haven't heard of a Ferrari train before, but just all these Ferraris just bunched up here, just racing around. And like we said, this is what we expect to see. I'm sounding like a broken record all night. I apologize. We expect to see this little bunch here. It's going to be a question of when do they go, and you've got to think to yourself that if the VRT drivers of Bailey and Meakin can control this pace and start pulling away, they won't have this issue, and they can start looking further ahead, because the more you battle here, you have to take defensive lines. You have to worry about where you're going, and that slows you down. And you can see,
bit of a nudge.
Meakin almost getting hit in the back there. Guts there. Gisecki manages to avoid it, but that almost was a close one. That may set himself up to be overtaken here. This is a little bit of a messy here. They could almost go 3 wide. Sanvis, Padao is right behind them. Is there going to be any moves here? I think Olar's just going to stay on the outside and let them go. But Francois decides, I could do this. And Francois goes to the inside, makes that move on Sanvis. He then takes the position. He's now looking at Gisecki thinking, what can I do? The lone Porsche in this Ferrari train, he's trying to make the moves right now.
He's trying to, isn't he? He's got a 3/10 gap. We know the Porsche is always good on the brakes. Every single Porsche is good on the brakes regardless. So we're going to see if that does materialise as well. Cassiami is going to possibly lose a position to this, and Martin. This is Nedelik. Apologies again for the pronunciation. I think I got that right, did I? I believe.
I think you did.
Nedelik. Yep, there we go. Again, apologies if I don't. It's also a little bit new to me. Stuart Reynolds, though, he's got prime front row positioning here, front row seats. I wonder, he's just seen that move happen. Is Stuart Reynolds going to try and capitalise on this as well? Although I've just looked, has he not got a front bonnet? No, it's just the paint of the car. I thought he didn't have a front bonnet at that point. And if he was doing that sort of pace with no front bonnet, that would be very mighty impressive. So as it stands, nothing really there. Having a look through the field, I thought that I did see, and there was at one point quite a big battle for Will Richardson was being pressured a fair bit by P2, and that's since dropped down a little bit. Ryan Hamilton has had a bit of a moment. What has happened there to Mr. Hamilton? We'll see if we can get a replay of that. It did seem to be an instant note, although how much we don't really know. A bit further down the field, though. Here he comes. This again, Cody Pride, the lonesome Porsche as it stands at the moment in this train. Or one of the other lonesome Porsches in this train. Chris Chatterton has also made a move as well. I think we've got Nick, Rick, and Wild Chatterton. They're all having a bit of a battle. It's all just sort of bunching up here massively. It's very, very hard to work out where the positions are going to be made because it's all happening so fast, I think, as well. It's amazing how it can change pretty drastically. You know, 1 minute you're looking at a position and you're 2/10, 3/10 behind, then the next minute you're not, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, and we just saw Stuart Reynolds. You may have just saw it on the timing tower. Stuart Reynolds' name was going down. He loses the control of the car, and he loses it on turn 12. He makes a mistake. You're just going to see it right here. Just taking too much curve. Also, I believe that's Frederic Poches. He also towed. I did not see what happened to him. I think he had a similar situation. Yeah, he had a similar situation just there, and he tows the car as well. So couple issues there for some drivers as that's going on. Now, Ryan Hamilton, this is the incident we were just talking about here. Something's happened to Hamilton coming down into turn 1. He's trying to make this stick, and he's lost it. He's lost it. I think he just got spooked a little bit by the Porsche beside him, and unfortunately, that is him going. But Cody Pry, slow down. Good little move there. He's now got Daniel Gilding right in front of him. Is he able to make a move here? This Porsche against the Lamborghinis. It should be in favor a little bit here, but he is having a bit of a struggle. Can he do anything through these corners? He does. That's good. It's Kaseki there just making moves as well. It's all happening at the moment. Remember the timing tower. Yellow, they're less than a second. Orange, less than half a second. And we're seeing a lot of yellow and orange right now, as we'd expect, especially in this Ferrari train down at the amateurs with Kaseki just in the middle of this with Badeo, the only Porsche, then the VRT to Bailey Meekins, and then Dean Timms and Levi Johnson and Olaf Sanvis right behind them. This is a Ferrari train, and I'm looking forward to see what happens there because this could decide some positions depending on who decides to save the most fuel.
Absolutely very true. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it till the cows come home. Fuel saving is so very key here, especially in a 75-minute race. It's surprising how much of a difference it makes when you have got some pit stops to take into consideration as well. A little bit further afield in pro category, let's have a look at this because this is the battle for first place. And I tell you what, the top 4, it's anyone's game here. They've pulled out a second gap between Alex Bennett and Cass Huguenot. The gap is around about a second. It's not too much, but it's enough. As it stands, though, Sean Campbell is under a serious amount of pressure. There is the train. I mean, realistically, you know, the top 8 are still well within contention here after the 12th minute of this race. And I'm sure that's going to continue as the race progresses. Fantastic stuff. Amazing to see. And something that, again, we're going to be treated to some amazing racing for the next hour here. 15 minutes has gone already, near enough. Can you believe that's gone very quickly?
Gone very quickly as well, but you can see that the TechSense Fitzy card there for Sean Campbell. He's got really enough view behind there of the Urano Racing bet of Nick LaRouche. Now we're 15 minutes in. They've got another 15 minutes before they start thinking about making a pit stop. We're looking at 48 laps at the moment. That's how many laps we're looking at. And wisely, these top drivers, they are just in it for the long run. They realize they just got to hold together. And of course, if they're in it and holding in for the long run, their time goes down. And because of that, now Huguenot is starting to get pulled in. Nick Madsen starting to get pulled in. Harley Horton starting to get pulled in. All of a sudden, the top 7, each of them has slipstream. And you'll see them all just come together. And meanwhile, Max Furtwängler, he's not there. But if it keeps happening, if this keeps going and the top 7 all get bunched together, you may see him. There's a term I like to say right now, and I think it's safe to say we're 15 minutes into the race, but for the leaders of Pro, I think it's a welcome to the pain train. Population 7.
Indeed, 7 at the top front. Meanwhile, down in Pro-Am category, that is Stuart Reynolds losing out on a position to Will Richardson at the moment. Do you know what? It's actually put a car in between himself and Sven Matheson. So absolutely exactly what you would want. I mean, Will Richardson played that absolutely perfectly, although Stuart Reynolds is going to try and make the move back, though. This is not going to play into the hands very well of Will Richardson because that's him having to go wide, and you might see Matheson try and have a bit of a move. Decides against it, though. Can he get a bit of a cutback? He gets a fractionally better... No, he doesn't. He doesn't get a good exit. BMW so strong here. We spoke about that earlier on. They are very, very strong. He's got some good drive out of the corner as well. The Lamborghini just can't seem to match it at this stage of the race. But as well, the number 12 slow-mo Lamborghini. Again, it's a long way to go. 15 minutes have gone. We have got an hour's racing left. I'll tell you what, though, the BMW, it's quick in a straight line. He's also going to have a tow from Stuart Reynolds as well. So that's going to be a double whammy. Unfortunately, that's something that Matheson isn't going to be able to compete with at the moment. The gap is coming down ever so slightly, but nowhere near as much as it should be. That BMW is mighty, mighty fast, as it turns out. Which, again, we knew this, didn't we, going into it after the last season. So we'll have to see how it's played. Cody Pride as well. Daniel Gilding versus Cody Pride. Who is going to come out on top? Do you know what? Cody Pride's going to try going on the outside into turn 1. He's going to be inside of turn 2. Doesn't quite make it stick. Little bit of a twitch there for Dan Gill. Almost reminded me of remember Jenson Button? I believe it was 2009 when he had that bit of oversteer moment. Just sort of like pitched the car out. Can't think who was trying to get by him. But it was almost, it reminded me a little bit of that, where Daniel Gill, whether it was intentional or not, just had a bit of a moment, and it just sort of spooked Cody Pride a little bit, so he had to sort of back out, and we'll have to try and make that position on another lap. But again, fantastic racing up and down the field, which is always good, exactly what we want to see. We've also got some battles in AM category as well.
Yeah, we see Steyerhaug here just having a little move here with Warren. Is he able to make anything at the moment? I don't think he's able to do anything at the moment on James Warren. He's just holding back. And this is a battle between two Lamborghinis, so there's going to be no issues here. And you just see just how this car... It's a very nice car around here. I would have thought the Porsche would have felt more at home around here, but for the Lamborghini, just the ability to get on the throttle early, it really does help around here. And these two able to use it. What can Warren and Steyerhaug use? We're just going to see a quick replay here of what happened earlier here as they were coming up around, or we just saw that replay, sorry. And they're coming up around into Pico de Pato, and you can just see there the respect here. Steyerhaug is just respecting, and you've got to think with the gap there of 4 tenths, it's just going under 4 tenths. It's 4. They can see other cars up ahead, but if he gets a run out of this corner, and he does not get a good run, they're matching cars. Would he be able to make a move here? All comes down to wing, all comes down to downforce, all comes down to exit speed. What is the speeds here we're looking at the moment? And Warren is actually faster. Warren is faster, and now Steyerhaug is matching, so he will not get a chance here. You can just see what that mistake did at turn 12 at Junção. You can see what that did for this car. So unfortunately, the 98 unable to do anything this time around, and it's a shame. But now maybe he comes out of Curva del Sol. Can he make anything here? He's down on to the Leto Oposta. This little, well, back straight or semi-back straight, and he lifts. You can hear that. You could just hear that. That wasn't a clutch. That was all off the throttle. And he lifts. He is saving fuel at the moment. Not a bad idea when you think about it.
No, realistically, like I said, I'm an advocate for fuel saving. Always have been, always will be. We saw it at the front a little bit as well. I think Sean Campbell was lifting, coasting. Nick Madsen's actually got at the inside of Cass Huguenot, so that's the tail end of the position made there. So Magazine goes now up into P5. He's 6 tenths of a gap between himself and Alex Bennett. Stuart Reynolds is dropping down even further. Not ideal. Michael Patterman and Joachim Code have had a crash as well. Oh, lots of replays to look at. We'll see if we can find those and dig them out for you to have so we can have a gander. But yes, positions again happening all the way up and down the field. Nick Labiche, he's fuel saving. He's fuel saving hard as well. Sean Campbell's trying to fuel save. He just won't be able to fuel save as much. There's no way. You've got that. You've just got all the air hitting you. Realistically, Alex Gull is probably going to be fuel saving even more because he's got a double toe. Alex Bennett probably no much more than Alex Gal. I think Gal is in a prime position here because he's got the least amount of cars in front of him. And he's able to save the most fuel because he's got that double toe off of Campbell and Labiche. So, realistically, I think come the first round of pit stops, we're going to see people jump the field, and we're going to see people jump. I reckon Sean Campbell is going to lose out here, even if he's trying to fuel save now quite considerably.
I think I'm thinking about this right now, and I'm just going through hypotheticals in my head, and I'm thinking to myself, he will lose out. But if we take this, 'cause I look at this as a super speedway mentality from oval racing, and the leader is always going to use the most fuel and have to pit before anybody else. And these guys behind, as you were saying, they're fuel saving. They're using less fuel. They've got the tow. They've got the double tow for Alex Gow. And sometimes I think to myself, well, Sean's not going to have anybody to go with. But if he comes out in the right place, he's got clear air. Where a lot of these drivers will probably have to pit together a lap after Campbell. And I'm just trying to think of a hypothetical. Can he do it? So that, maybe it would be helpful. And meanwhile, talking of trains, is this another big train we see in the amateurs? Of course it is. That is Dean Timms for Eclipse, making his way. You can see David Meakin, Dreu, Johnson right there. They're all there. It is that Ferrari train we talked about earlier, and it is just continuing to just be a challenge. And it's great to see the challenge everywhere. You can just see the close racing. This isn't just a case of, being held up or anything. No, this is the close racing we've seen all around the field. It is the magic of Interlagos. I'm saying that, Daniel. It's the magic. I know you don't like the track, but this is what makes this is what I love. And if you're a fan of fuel and pitch strategies like we are, this is the track for it. I'm sorry, this is the track for it.
I have, like I said, I will agree that there are some, there is some good racing to be had here. There is some good, like I said, it's merely just the track I don't personally get on with. Oh, that was a bit of a, oh dear. Okay, well there we go, Constantineering up. So we had a small moment, couldn't quite see who that was. And I mean, a flashing of the lights from Michael Patterson, unfortunately didn't really have anywhere to go, and I don't think there was really anything he could have done. So that was a flash that happened. I don't really think it was... nothing else could have been done, really. If anything, it was a very, very good save from the Lamborghini there. So, yeah, that was a small little incident that we saw there. Alden Kellberg has actually gone off the circuit a little bit. Let's just say he's had a small minor. Okay, well, it's not a minor off, more so a spin, which has cost him a significant amount of time. And he's dropped all the way back down into P14. Overall, he's actually gone off the circuit again, so he's dropped a few more positions. He's right at the back. He's had another moment. Do you know what? He's got some damage. Oh, that is him done and dusted. Yeah, that's never going to be a. Oh dear, that's a bit of a. He does escape back to the pits. I think probably. I know it's not too far away, but probably wise at the same time.
No idea what happened to that car though. We'll have to get a replay. That's very. It's very significant damage to the rear right of that car for Schellberg, and we're going to see the replay right here, and he's just coming around. That looks to be, he's coming up to turn 7. It looks like he goes around. Oh, he gets tapped from behind, and then as he's trying to save the car, there's nowhere for them to go, and unfortunately he gets that hit in the worst place possible, which is the rear right, and that is a shame. Whoa. And then, what's happened here with David Meakin? David Meakin getting sent off the track there. What looks to be turn 1. I think that is turn 1. Yes, that is turn 1. He's waiting for some time. He's going to come back on. Almost looks like someone's just making moves. I think the drivers now that they've been going around together for so long that the impatience is just starting to get there. Here comes David Meakin in the replay here. A nice little slow-mo. You can just see he's got the
Number
Porsche behind.
Francois Padal.
27. Yeah, it's Padal there. Does Padal just make a wrong move coming down? I think he does. Yeah. Meakin didn't realize he was coming in. Yeah, that's a shame. And that is a shame that Meakin just gets the hit there, and that's unfortunate. And I think that is his race done. That's a shame.
It's a big shame, isn't it? Not what you wanted to see at all in the slightest. So, it's... That's one of the ones it's sort of 10 or 2 off. What? It's a bit of a squeeze. Dan Gilding is squeezing Cody Pride quite aggressively. Manages to go back to the outside. Fantastic. But just manages. I think he tried to come over in the braking zone just a fraction too late. Racecraft was fantastic though. Hugged down and squeezed Cody Pride on the inside. There's no obligation to move. This is the thing that I don't think a lot of people realize. You don't have to. If someone tries to make a move up the inside, there is absolutely no reason you have to then come back over to the racing line. Squeeze them as hard as you can without making contact, obviously, and without forcing them off the circuit. You can be aggressive. That's exactly what we saw there. Just Daniel Gilding, as he came across to take his normal racing line again, just a fraction too late. You see him come across and then start to brake as well. And a couple of that tyres just couldn't cope. And that's why you have that little bit of a slight weight transfer happens very, very quickly. It just all happens at once. But very, again, good racecraft. Very, very good racecraft. I've had a look at the front. The top 8 are now within a position here to possibly... the top 8 are well within striking distance of the lead here.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm just keeping my eyes on Cody Pride here. He's just set himself up a move on Nick Rick. Oh, wow. Wow, we have to get that on the replay at some point. Cody Pride sets up a move by going around the outside of turn 10. And I think we're going to see it in a moment. Here's Harley Horton, though, with another big move on to get through positions. Harley's ripping up the script again. Everybody's all together, and he's just not there. Madsen going touch with LaBouche here. This is going to be tight. Can they make it through? They did make it through. And now still, Madsen still battling hard on with Alex Gao. Almost touching. And they're going to be coming into the SA, into turn 8. Can Madsen hold it around the outside? He holds it around the outside. And now they go into turn 9. He should hold this. Does Alex Gao have a response here? He does not. But now Alex Gao is under threat from Harley Horton. Late braking into turn 10. Who's going to make this? Horton's going to set himself up around the outside again. He's going to get this into turn 11. What driving from the full send racing Lamborghini there. Horton goes up. Alex Gao is going down the order like he is a record in the top 10.
Wow, what a move from Harley Horton there. Fantastic stuff. Just capitalise on the positions that capitalise on the fact that Alex Gold lost one position to Madsen. He was a bit out of sorts. He may have just pushed his tyres a little bit to try and keep that position. And Harley Horton was just like, thank you very much. Timed it absolutely perfectly. Great stuff from Harley Horton. Really, really good. Thoroughly enjoyed watching that, as always. Really, really good stuff. Dean Timms has just had a little bit of an off, manages to come back on the circuit, though. He's battling with his teammate by the looks. What position are we looking for as well for the overtake that you wanted to see there?
I can't remember. We basically saw the same thing. Harley Horton did it exactly as well, but it was Cody Price doing the exact same thing we just saw Harley Horton there, and like Harley pulled it off the same way. Cody Pride though and Nick Rick doing the exact thing. We'll see it as well. We just saw it with Harley Horton, but Cody did it before anybody, and he didn't even have a lot of overlap. But you can see he's just battling away. I think that's just after it as well. But you start it by going around the outside of Pico di Pato, turn 10, and that is a tough one to go. But look at this for a tough line. Levi Johnson is leading this. This is for ninth, and you can just see how competitive it is right here. And this is the amateurs. Look at the orange on that timing tower, less than half a second. They are all trying to find the line. And no, they're not pitting. Dean Timms is looking for the line as well. They're all trying to find whatever they can. Levi and Dean Timms are just battling. Does Dean... Ooh, Dean's going to be careful. And a forward Timo Chester. And that was then combined. The Eclipse Racing drivers collide. And that's Levi Johnson losing a position. Oh, it's going in to Betrayu. And this is going to be chaotic. There's going to be some free wide. Oh, come on, boys. Keep it together. They're going to come together. They crash together. No awareness. Come on, 3 cars. All in the wall together. Turn and go in the wall. And that is Chester, Warren, all together. They are out of the race. Warren's lost his wing. Oh, that is... we were talking about good racecraft earlier, Daniel. Just wasn't there, unfortunately.
3 cars don't make up one. 3 cars can't fit into one space. Just notice at the front of the field that Nick Madsen's actually made a move on Sean Campbell. So Nick Madsen has decided that I reckon he's going to pit in the next lap or so. That's probably why he's made the move. Realistically, I think he wants that track position now. He's going to try and see if he can put at least a bit of a gap to Sean Campbell and see if Nick Labiche can hold up and to try and make some battling as well. But yet 3 cars don't unfortunately fit into one space. We know that. And also the other rule number 1, the golden rule, don't hit your teammate. We saw both of those in the space of about 20 seconds. Not ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but ultimately something that's again, it's one of those things. We'll try and get a replay of that up for a couple of different angles, although I don't necessarily think it's going to be something that we're going to get to. We probably saw it live, so we will try and find one maybe a little bit later on. But ultimately, though, Nick Madsen currently leading overall and leading the pro category. Does he come into the pits this time around? If he does, I think Sean Campbell will try and follow him, or he'll try and get another lap out of him. Just yet, nothing at the moment. I don't think so. No, there's going to be no positions for the moment. I wonder if Madsen's going to try and come in. That was a bit of contact I just heard a little bit further down the order. But as it turns out, is Sean Campbell going to make it? No, he doesn't. Bit of role reversal here, because now Sean Campbell's got an opportunity to save a bit more fuel now that he's sitting behind Madsen, as it stands.
The top 9 are separated by 3.8 seconds. Every one of them is practically almost half a second between each other. That is how tight it is right now. You can see Nick Madsen with that move earlier on, making the textbook move down the first corner, curve 1. I know it's not 1, it's Portuguese. I don't know the Portuguese for 1, I apologize. Now, Eric Benson, Daniel Gilding here. This is for 11th in class. What can they do? It looks like Gilding is going to had this position before. He's now defending Eric Benson. Benson's going to try and go around the outside of the first corner. And you know what? He almost got this worked here. Actually, they're still going to be side by side. It's going to be side, but what a move from Eric Benson to get that off. And he's, oh, no, no, no! No! And he closes the door on Daniel Gilding. And Gilding goes off. He's going to lose all that time. Oh, that is a shame there. And is he stuck? No, he's just waiting for the opportunity. He's still okay. He might have... He's still waiting. He's still waiting. He's going to have to let the amateurs come through almost. And he's going to slowly return onto the track. Anyway, Michael Paderman now is battling. There are battles going everywhere at the moment. And remember, we're only half an hour into the race. This is fantastic battling. It's just a shame of some of the incidents. Paderman battling with Hamilton right now for 12th. It's not where these guys would want to be. But can we see another Nomad car not have a mistake? Ooh, not get collected. The Panda versus the Nomad. Hamilton doesn't look comfortable at the moment. When you've got a big BMW behind you at Interlagos, I kind of understand why.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's, I mean, like I said, the BMW, I still don't personally think it's a looker by any stretch. It can actually be quite distracting when it's behind you. That's what I found when I've been racing it, or have been racing with other people driving it. So it's a good tactic there. You distract the people by the look of your car. So an interesting tactic, but it seems to work. It definitely worked for me a couple of times. So yeah, Patterson, no move at the moment. Max Verstappen, one of the first people to jump in the pits from the pro category. Actually, one of the only people to jump in to the pits at the moment from the pro category. Stuart Reynolds is trying to move up back into position. We're seeing a lot of the pro AM category drivers now coming in, and which naturally we are coming into that first round of pit stops. 30 minutes have gone. And I wonder if it is going to be Madsen coming into the pits now. Alex Gall possibly getting past Harley Horton again. And do you know what? Harley Horton, the moves that he's been making, he's actually going to possibly have two that start on him, because Alex Bennett decided he's going to have a bit of a move as well. So the exact thing that happened to Alex Gall a few laps ago has just happened to Harley Horton. Lost one position. We then had Alex Bennett capitalise on that and make another position as well. So Alex Gall and Alex Bennett, again, not being separated as it stands. I wonder if that move was quite heavy. They're going to try now come into the pits.
Madsen pitting. You can tell straight away Madsen pitting. Campbell does not pit. Who else goes? Now, that's a surprise. I did not expect Madsen to be the lone pitter out of this big group at the moment. And it does... There goes Veerman. Veerman, Huguenot, they also come in. I do correct myself there. Nedelik comes in. So 4 of these leaders come in. They do have a lot... Pro-Am, that's Valentin Amblar just coming beside them. Of course, blue flag rules are in effect, so I think he may just for the benefit of them, just allow them to just get by, and he does. But first 4 of these top drivers in the pits, and that's going to be crucial, because with how this second group, because this lead group is starting to split a little bit after all those moves that Alex Gal put. What can they do in terms of time? And I've just got to see that right now, because is that Ethan Bass in a Pro-Am, in a Ford, currently leading the way? It's nice to see. It's nice to see. Let's just have a little moment here. It's nice to see, but he is in a battle with... Well, he was in a battle with Nick Madsen, but Nick Madsen's just come out of the pits, and I think Ethan knows that he's not going to hold him up, but at the same time, he's racing his own race. What will Ethan do? He's racing his own race. He's just going to keep battling. He's totally inclined to do this. He can do this all day long. And Ethan Bass is just holding off Nick Madsen. This is not what Nick wanted. And even at Kaz Huguenot, by the way, that's quite a long time in the pit, because look at the gap between Madsen and Huguenot. That's 7 seconds between the two of them. I have no idea what happened there. But all of a sudden, after the first pit stops, these pro drivers, they're getting a bit spread out.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. Was it after the first pit stops? Everyone's pitted. Everyone's just got... You know, everyone's in a position now that they're comfortable. I think they're settling back into their own race for the second half, for their second stint, as it were. So, you know, I mean, realistically, you probably now... I wonder if Ethan Bass is actually going to pit. We know that the Ford it seems to be pretty good on fuel, and I think that is him going to come in. And there goes Madsen. So Ethan Bass does come into the pits. Nick Madsen now comes and is released. And so we have seen him come back up. He's 27 seconds back. So realistically, Nick Madsen should still come out at least in a position where he's relatively... P2 probably... Well, I mean, I think realistically he's either going to overtake everyone, he's going to overtake no one, I think, because everyone's so close. There's a 1.5 seconds separates Sean Campbell to Alex Gall. And then, apologies to Alex Bennett. And then after that, it's 27 seconds back. I wonder, it's going to be close though. It is going to be very close indeed. A few more drivers now coming into the pits. Ola Sarkvist has just gone up. Haddad has lost a few... Why is Haddad so slow? What has happened there? I wonder if there's possible damage or something. Don't quite know. Nothing's coming up with us. Nothing's notified us of that. But I wonder if there's some possible damage or feels like it could be anything. Could be absolutely anything. But then he doesn't come into the pits. Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. We'll have to see if we can get some confirmation on that. This is Joachim Code coming out of the pits now. He's about 0.6 of a second. Would be 0.6 of a second behind Ryan Hamilton, who's only about 0.3 behind of a Michael Patterman here. So this might be a battle that's going to heat up in a few moments' time. Again, we will have to see. But at the front, Proverfield, Sean Campbell still leading the way.
And they've now gone 2 laps over what the other drivers have done. So a lot of these drivers pitted early, 21, lap 20 for Max Furtwängler. He pitted lap 19. These top 3 haven't pitted. Alex Bennett has. How far can these guys go? Because remember, Sean Campbell's been leading. It's not easy to save fuel when you're the leader. So what has he been saving? So that'll be interesting to see. I'm still keeping my eyes, of course, on this Patterman Hamilton battle there, and Joachim there is still behind there. Patterman, he's holding off the Nomad, the car. You can see that he's trying to, and you can see that Hamilton really trying to just find some way around. He's really looking, but he's unable to. Now, have they pitted? It's the question. I don't think they pitted. They have pitted, sorry. They pitted early. So this is on field. This is an on-track position of battle. There'd be no issues there. Can Hamilton do anything? I don't think he can. You can see, we talked about it before. The speed difference that the BMW has compared to the Lambo, it's strong. But at the same time, Hamilton had a better run. Is he going to try and make this move right here? He does. And
late on the brakes.
Hamilton, yeah, later on the brakes, he makes that move pretty well. And again, that's a nice little staple of the Lambo. You know, you can get on the throttle early. It's got a nice balance. You can get and be late on the brakes. That was really good there from Hamilton. Now he's in the defense, though, and that's a tough thing against this BMW. You can see Patterman looks like he wants to make the move, but you would have to make a late break, and I don't think it will. Meanwhile, in the front, by the way, Campbell, LaBrouche, they have pitted. Alex Go had pitted. They're in the pits right now. They're at the front of the line. Who comes out first? Is it Campbell? Is it LaBrouche? Is it Gall? We'll wait and see, and I'll tell you what, it looks like it's going to be Gall. It is. Alex Gall gets out first. LaBrouche will get out second. He will, and Campbell takes a lot of fuel. A lot of fuel. Now, where are they in terms of everybody else? Alex Go has just left everybody. And in fact, I think all of these top 3 are going to be out of slipstream. Not just from each other, but from the rest of the field. Alex Bennett actually might just catch on to Campbell. So there is still a little bit of a train, but it's only a train of 3 cars at the moment. So, as we expected, it's all gone a little bit wide. But for Gall and LaBouche, now those 2 can just start racing on their own without having to worry.
Well, absolutely. Nick Madsen, though, has got a 3-second gap. So the early pit stop, the undercut, certainly paid off. Even getting held up ever so slightly by Ethan Bass or having that bit of a battle, it's definitely worked in his favour. We'll have to see again whether he's taken a bit less fuel on board or something. Really don't know. That could be also a factor. We'll have to see. At the moment, though, down into the Pro-Am category, this is Chris Wally and Thomas Racer having a good old battle. BMW versus BMW. There is nothing between them. It's going to be who is the bravest on the brakes at the moment. And it looks like it is the Eclipse Racing team. Chris Wally, he goes a little bit wide and leaves the door open for Reiter, who comes straight back up the inside, at least tries to. And that's going to be leaving him hung out to dry. But no, Chris Wally decides, no, not going to have that position so easily, and now he gets the better drive out of the corner, uses the curb to hook the car around. It's a very, very important thing that you can do, and you can utilise your advantage. The curbs can be your enemy, but they can also be your friend if you know how to use them. And the number 97, Panda 1, has to wait another lap, or possibly only another couple of corners if he can get a good drive. But Chris Chatterton, he's only a couple of in the sister Eclipse Racing team Ferrari. might only have to, he might try and have a bit of a look as well. The gap is 3/10. We know that the BMWs are quick, but Chatterton in the number 16 has got a very good drive. A very good drive. Is there going to be a position here? We will have to wait and see. Dives to the inside. We always knew that Dreiter was going to pressure him and we was going to box him in. Goes to the outside again. Good racecraft. But unfortunately, oh my goodness. I wonder what happened. That was a brown race suit moment there, I think, from everyone. To be perfectly honest, the entire three of that, Chris Rowley, Thomas Rater and Chatterton are all going to need new race suits after that. And they all managed to, after all that, they all go back into the positions that they were.
I can tell what that was. That was Chatterton realizing that if he went for the stand, they touch! They touch! Oh, they're off! And there was no room there. Reiter gave no room to Chatterton. And that was just coming over without knowing it. And that just caused the incident there. Just a miscommunication by the two of them. I was going to say, Chatterton didn't want to send it because he knew his teammate. If he sent it, he could have hit his teammate. He didn't want it again, but that has just caused an incident there. That is a shame of what's just happened. And it was just Thomas Reiter with just a mistake, just not realizing Chatterton was there. Chatterton had every right to be there, and just Reiter just slowly comes in, and that is a shame. His teammate Michael Patterman still racing. Those you can see, he's got Ryan Hamilton. Those two have been having some good battles, and Joaquin Code, of course, behind them as well. He is just, well, he's been waiting for the right moment there, hasn't he? He's just been hoping that one of these guys makes a mistake and capitalize, because we've seen it quite a lot with these trains, that if you make one mistake, you're off the rails, you're off the rhythm, and someone's just going to come in who's back on the straight and will take you. Alex Gal lost a few places. We've seen it elsewhere in the Pro-Ams and the AMs. So, Joachim is just looking there thinking, if Ryan makes a mistake or Michael makes a mistake, I'm going to take this. So he's in that prime position right now. He's in the driver's seat more than anybody. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very true. Again, we'll have to see. We're going to see how it develops. It could, lots of things can happen later on this race. Although this is going to be the number 96. How he tries to go around the outside. That's a brave move, trying to go around the outside. Is he going to try and get the cutback? Not through turn one, turn through. No, instead he decides Joachim drives around the outside. Oh, there's a bit of contact again. Two cars don't fit into one space. Patterman, whether he from that camera, it looked like Joachim actually had the inside line. There was nothing that really could have done then. He couldn't move any further over onto the inside because that would have put him onto the curb and then ultimately onto the grass as well. So we'll see it from a possible different camera angle. And here it comes now. So going into turn 2, that was where the contact was made. Actually, I don't know.
There's an overlap. There's an overlap there. There is an overlap there. I've looked at it from a far angle camera from high above, and there is an overlap regardless. And unfortunately, that's why I said, oh no. You can't see it. You can't really see it, but there, just out of nowhere, there is an overlap.
Yep. Joachim had nowhere to go.
Yeah. The spotter will be telling you. The spotter will be telling you, and you've just got to get the room. And I understand you because you're on that outside. You had the inside to the first corner, but you can't make it through the S's, and you want to get there, but you've got to give the space. And that was just, again, we've seen a couple or a few mistakes here from just driver error more than just being overly aggressive. It's unfortunate. It is the nature of racing. It is the nature of Interlagos, unfortunately. The lead is still going, of course. Nick Madsen has that 2.5 second lead. No trains at the moment in the pro, so we'll just keep our eyes elsewhere because, the amateurs, this massive field of amateurs, it's great to see. We still got this train going on. That's Levi Johnson there. He does have Sean Campbell behind. He is trying to battle Ola Salmqvist, but he's also, he's trying to have a battle while he's having to let the leaders through, and that's never a good sign. So hopefully he can let Campbell through with no issues, and then he'll have to wait for Bennett, and then he'll have to wait onwards. So his battle at the moment against Ola will have to just hold off for a moment. This is never the best time to be racing anybody when you've got cars coming by that want to lap you. I feel sorry for Levi and Ola at the moment. They're just trying to race, but unfortunately it's just not working for them at the moment. So they will just fit in. You're not watching a train of 3 cars here. That middle car is Sean Campbell, P4 in the pros, as he makes his way around everybody. This, though, is the battle. That is Pedreu with S. Werner S there, just having a little battle It's the Panda BMW. I've said that about 3 times now against that Porsche. That he's been the Porsche on his own, Francois. I haven't seen many Porsches in the amateurs, but he's trying to fly the flag on his own. It feels like.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. We just saw as well Alex Gould then getting through. So again, Water S just leaving the space. Absolutely what you need to do. So that is all done and dusted and all sorted. So good stuff from the, and again, very, very good racecraft. Just letting the position go again, not fighting it too hard. There's no point at this moment in time. There's no point fighting it whatsoever. Unfortunately, it does mean he has lost out quite a fair position and a fair bit of time to Pedro. But that time will come back. It's all swings and roundabouts when it comes to traffic. Traffic management is very, very key, and ultimately traffic management in some certain scenarios is more important than the racecraft itself. And then we do see as well Alex Gould getting past Pedro on your screen just up ahead. A little bit further back down, Magnar Jonland is having a small little bit of a battle with Giseki as it stands at the moment. That, I believe, another car again up ahead. Who has that been with? It's just gone by. I think that was Nick Labiche. It was, yes.
It is, yes. So
that's the number 94, again making it smooth. I mean, to be fair, S is doing the exact thing. He's doing the perfect thing at this point, just letting the cars go. Like I said, it's all swings around, but you can actually see just there, brother, he's got held up a little bit because he had to let a couple of drivers by. So the gap is now straight back on. So, you know, that's actually a prime example. Thank you very much, Werner, for that. But it's a prime example that you don't have to race people all of the time. You know, there are some times that you just have to let a move happen, have to let someone overtake you, because it swings around, but it always comes back to you, or 9 times out of 10 it does at least.
Yeah, I love that saying, swings and roundabouts. It's fantastic, and I always use that myself. It really is. You just don't know what's going to happen, and you know, we always talk about with multi-class, it's the faster car that has the battle that you know is affected by the battle. Oh no, it's also the slower cars. It's the slower cars that also have that issue. So those amateurs having to look like they give up a position by just braking a little bit earlier for a corner and letting the car go by, but meanwhile, you know, they'll get that position back by something else, and respectful driving from the pro drivers to get around as well. Meanwhile, we've got this battle here for P3 in the Pro-Ams. That is Chris Wally, Daniel Sedgley, Tom Dandridge, Ethan Bass as well. They're all there. I think Chris Chatterton is just off the pace of it. He is. That just shows you what these guys from third onwards are like. Will Richardson and Svenny Matters are just so far ahead at the moment that it's hard to really catch up there. I think the gap between Svenny and Chris is 3 seconds. So these three having their little moment here. Now, what's this with Magnar Jonland? Looks like he's just going to be tat. Oh, just a little bit of an overlap there. And that was the number 6 there. Was that the number 6? Or was that the number 8? There was a little moment there. You can just see.
I think it may have been the number 8.
Yeah, number 8. I need my glasses on. That is Nick Diedick there making a move. Now, Chris Wally and Daniel Sedgley on the start-finish line. Now, you can see that Chris is taking that line, and he's forced Daniel to go around the outside if he wants it. There's nowhere to go for the Gazak Racing Team BMW. Nowhere for him to go. He will just have to reset, recharge, and get ready. Down the letter of Poster, he might be able to make a move, but he's not good enough on the throttle. So for Sedgley, that is not going to happen. Now, here's a replay of Mark Bailey. What is going on here? You can just see the train up ahead. I believe he makes a mistake here. Yeah, he just goes straight on. Almost looks like he locks his brakes there, and I think he just pulls the car in. So something must have happened there for the VRT driver around there. Now, Levi Johnson, look at this up ahead. What is going on here with Levi Johnson?
Well, we've just had a bit of... Well, that was close as well. But that is Sarkvis losing a position to Dylan Kinch. Dylan Kinch just goes, thank you very much, after the move that Levi Johnson made. So Sarkvis, again, we've seen it before, lost 2 positions. So that is the position done and dusted. So Dylan Kinch has got a 3/10 gap now between himself and Sarkvis in the number 47 Ferrari. Simon Dodd up ahead, though, having a good little bit of a scrap. This is for the battle for P5. Dean Timms is having a good old bit of pressure, which is what we like to see. Gap's about 0.2 of a second, running now on board with Dean Timms for the Eclipse Racing number 46. As he goes through a little bit wide from his teammate of Simon Dodd. Could this be a position? Could this be something happening? It's a small little bit of a lift there you just heard within the car. I mean, wise to be fair, because as you know, again, we said it again, the golden rule on motorsport: don't hit your teammate. So we don't want any repeat of that. It's the last thing we want. And again, a bit further down, Gisecki and Marcus Magnar Jonland going to go side. Why, that was close. Do you know what? And Gisecki goes a little bit wide, manages to keep it back on the track, and actually carries a bit of momentum because of it.
Yeah, very interesting moment there. Of course, a lot of tarmac runoff on this track at Interlagos, so you can do that as well. And he managed to use that to his advantage. Just a bit of a weird one there. Turn 4 is a tough corner, one of the tough corners around. So I do expect to see something like that, but unfortunate there. I've still got my eyes on this Simon Dodd Dean Timms thing, but it's not happening too much at the moment. In fact, Simon Dodd's having to let Sean Campbell by, so you're not missing anything in that little battle of the veterans of the series. But Gisecki, he's going to hold on right here. And you can see Levi Johnson right now with Dylan Kinch. What can they do? What can they do going up the straight? Levi Johnson's going to have to defend against Dylan Kinch. He's going to hold to the inside. Now he pulls back to the racing line. Has that sold dummy? It has not. So no dummy sold then. And of course, Kinch has had to lift a little bit because that's Furtwängler, who is trying to get through. And he's probably the last of these top runners in the pros. But up ahead, it's chaos. I'm just looking up ahead right now, and Alex Bennett has to get by 1, 2, 3, 4 amateur drivers. That's Simon Dodd, Dean Timms, Francois Pedreu, and he's already passed Werner S. But these pros, if they want to win this, it's no longer just about trying to stay together and save fuel. It's now a question of can you get through, and that's Harley Hortonoff. That is Harley Hortonoff. He's had a spin. Now he's had a spin here trying to make the move. Oh, he got tapped. He got tapped from Werner Is. Or did he just tap Werner Is as well? But Harley Horton is not having a time right here. He has had an off, and he's all the way down. He's down in P11 now in the pros.
Yeah, not today. We're going to try and find a replay of that in a few moments' time. So, well, yes, I mean, at the end of the day, it's that's something that's going to be, I imagine, that's going to be frustrating for Harley Horton, absolutely. Ryan Hamilton's actually had a bit of a moment as well. So from the Nomad Sim Racing, number 99, is it going to be just a rotation on the brakes? Turn 1 seems to be okay. Turn 2, bit too much curb. There we go. Bit too much curb on the inside. No damage, though. Just a few positions lost. So what happened to Harley Horton here? Going down, could it just be, again, a little bit too much curb? Oh, no, yes, there was that, as you were right. Yes, the number 76 tapped contact with the number 76. And the number 76 was Werner S. So that is... Oh, look at the positions. He's had to wait. I mean, fair play for waiting. He could have quite easily tried to make the move and tried to cut across the track, but he did not. So ultimately, good racecraft there. Just sort of sat there, had to wait. What happens? He just gets on the throttle. He just gets on the throttle a bit too much, and by that point, the front end, he's got a good, solid front end underneath. And at that point, just naturally, it's as it's always going to. It's always going to push a little bit wide, and that's one of the things you can do. You control it. It's Chris Wally goes up the inside of. No, actually not. He's trying to go on the outside of Daniel Sedgley. And Daniel Sedgley up the inside of Chris Wally. This is a battle that's continued to go on because they're side by side. Whoa, a bit of contact. Bit of contact. Both managed to keep it all in check, though.
Yeah, these BMWs, they may be big like World Touring cars, but they are not World Touring cars. This is not some bumping, guys. Come on, let's keep it clean. Wally's going to look like he's going to try and make this move. Great move by Wally there to get that position back. There, here comes the response, though, from Sedgley. But turn 10 will belong to the guy on the inside with late braking. But Wally can't get late braking. But Sedgley cannot get the turn in. They're making little mistakes right here. Tom Dandridge right behind. And he's got Ethan Bass looking at him as well. Sedgley finally gets through. Wally will have to just hold back a little bit. He gets a little bit of speed. Tom Dandridge right behind, almost going into the back there. Ethan Bass with that Ford. He's trying to push. What can a Ford do against 3 BMWs? You're about to find out. Wally will hold on to this. He will do everything he can. Sorry, Sedgley will hold on to this. Do everything he can. He may be able to make this. There has to be a late move from Wally if he wants to do this, but they're so close to the second pit stop. I don't think it's worth it. You can see 2 by 2, 2 by 2. Dandridge trying to get and defend Ethan Bass. Ethan Bass with the move. With the move around the outside of Ethan Bass. Here comes the response from Dandridge. He's got the speed on the inside. He's got the traction. He'll come back around. He'll hold on to that position. Ethan Bath will now have to wait in front again. You're not missing anything. Wally can't get past Sedgley. Ethan Bath cannot get past Dandridge. Whoa, it's all happening all of a sudden.
It is indeed, isn't it? It's really started to kick off. But fantastic, exactly what we want to see. Sedgley up ahead along with Chris Wally. They're going to have... Whoa! Chris Wally from the outside. Oh, my God. No, they touch. Oh, they touch. No, just came across, and very good avoidance there by both Bass and Sedgley. But it's just, again, just came across. Bit of contact as well. We've seen this a little bit too much, unfortunately, especially in the space of the last 15-20 minutes. Although at the same time, two people trying to fight for a position. At the end of the day, it's, you've got to... you've got to factor in this contact as well at some point. The battles are so heavy and so close. That's a tricky one to call from that particular angle. Let's have a look at it from a roll bar cam on board with Daniel Sedgley from the Gaz X racing team. Is it? Oh, you know what? I think that was Sedgley. It looked like Sedgley just drifted a bit too wide.
Yeah. Like I was saying, he looks like he got on the throttle a little bit too early, just trying to get that position. And of course, we always say it takes two to tango in dancing, but in racing. But you got to make sure you're doing the right dance, and unfortunately, that did not look like the right dance. These two are dancing pretty well, though. Alex Gale for VRS Satellite, Nick LaBouche as well. And by the way, remember how Nick Madsen had a 2-second lead on everybody after the pit stops? Well, Nick's lost that now, and we're getting a new train. Gao starting to catch up to Madsen. Now, what should be a BMW favorite track? Well, I see two Ferraris out there dominating right now. Madsen, Gao, and then LaBouche, of course, in that BMW up ahead. What can they do? There's 20 minutes left in the race. So we'll be expected to see some pit stops shortly. And in fact, is that Madsen pitting? That is Madsen pitting. I've timed that pretty well. Madsen will come into the pits. What can he do? Because he had a really good time with that early pit stop last time. But at the end of this stint, you can see that he's lost that time. So I'm starting to wonder, can he just use that to his advantage? It's going to be tight. It's going to be close. He managed to pull 2.5 seconds last time, but that was a train of 8. This is a train of 3, 2 or 3. I think there's going to be differences right here. But meanwhile, Alex Gao is on the defense with Nick LaBouche, and there's nobody else around them.
Not at all. No, this is a battle. This is a battle that's just kicking off, and this is a battle that's going to stay, I think, to be perfectly honest. So realistically, yeah, nothing's going to happen as it stands at the moment. They're just going to be just running along with one another. And I don't really think it's going to be all that much in terms of there's going to be much movement happening elsewhere, at least up until the pit stops. After the pit stops, it's all fair game then for the last 15 minutes, but we'll have to see. Again, anything can happen. We certainly know that. So, again, realistically, we've just got to make sure that we are in a position where... Well, again, if a move presents itself, which I doubt it will, the gap is about 4/10. And realistically, we've got maybe 2-3 laps before everyone comes into the pits. It's going to be a bit tricky to come down again, especially with how close these drivers are. Lights have come on, though, so it's getting a little bit dark. It won't get too much darker for the next 20 minutes, but ultimately, it is getting darker. Track's cooling down as well.
It's cooling down. 30 Celsius now the track temp. It is just about to become 6 o'clock in the evening on sim time. And 30 Celsius, you probably think, well, that's not very, hot. But no, that's still hot. That's cool, though, for Interlagos track. So that's going to be good. Meanwhile, Alex Gao and Nick LaBouche, they do see on the relative a couple pro-ams. Now, what's this replay here? It's just seeing what they're doing around the outside. It is. And you can just see Alex Gao leading the fray. And here's Daniel Gilding. Now, what's happened to Gilding? We did see some moves happening elsewhere. Is he going to get caught up there? He is. It almost looks like hesitation there from the 51 and the 91 there. That's a very, very weird move. And it's such a deep braking zone and such a deep braking point, the first turnaround here, that you get those situations. You get those incidents. And, we have seen people make the moves, and we've seen people unable to complete the moves just by making some mistakes. So that's unfortunate. Now, this is Magnar Jomlund. He's been driving quite a while at the moment. He's got Simon Dodd in front. He's trying to catch up to Simon Dodd. Kaseki is behind, just a little bit behind, but Jomlund is still battling. By the way, we haven't talked about the lead amateur, which is Johan Assen. That's because Johan's just been dominating. Absolute dominance from Johan Assen there. I think we're looking at about quite a while. He was quite a bit ahead of the other amateur drivers, but Frederick Roy has taken a pit stop. Alex Gal, by the way, just hit the pits. Nick LaBouche did not. Now, I believe Alex did an early pit stop last time. If I can remember, Alex did an early pit stop first time around, and it did help him. Can he use it to his advantage? Nobody else has come with him. So that means Nick LaBouche will lead for the first time this season. Sean Campbell's 4 seconds behind. But again, is that a move because of traffic? Because again, Nick LaBouche has just hit the pro-ams of Daniel Gilding and Valentin Amblad, who are both battling. In fact, Daniel Gilding made a position last lap.
Yes, absolutely, he did indeed. I've just noticed on Nick Madsen, he's dropped down. He has dropped down the order, but again, naturally, as well, because obviously he's the one that's pitted. But again, it goes to show how close it is, doesn't it? Because I'm intrigued to see as well. Look at the gap. So last time that he came out, last time he pitted, he was 27 seconds. Okay, and he still came out on top by about 3 seconds. He's now 28.5 seconds. So he should still, in theory, if he has the same pit stop, he will come out around about 1.5 to 2 seconds ahead of everyone else. And then for the final 15 minutes, it's going to be absolutely... It's just going to be free-for-all. It's going to be absolutely free-for-all for every driver, and they're going to be wanting to make up as many positions as they can. Before we do get any further into the race now for the final little bit, we are so very close to, again, pushing forward. Well, we're pushing further and further forward each day with new subscribers. So please do make sure, if you haven't already, please make sure that you do leave the Absolute Sim Racing YouTube channel a subscribe. It would be absolutely fantastic. We're really, really sorry. We saw a gain in about 300-400% of subscribers in the past month, which is absolutely fantastic. At the rate we're going to be on 1,000 before the end of the year, which is absolute madness. So please do make sure you get everyone to subscribe. Leave a like on this stream as well. It helps the stream out, helps the broadcast out more so than you know. But so yes, thank you very, very much indeed. I'm gonna have a quick check to see how many subscribers we do have while we've got a small bit of respite in the racing. It's not all, it's sort of calm before the storm at the moment. That's my normal favourite term for just before it all starts to kick off. And we do have at the moment as well Nick LaBouche, again, still not coming into the pits. So the gap to keep an eye out for is Nick Madsen. That is the gap to keep an eye out for, because that is coming down. Well, it's going up, I think, because Madsen is losing what looks to be a little bit of time still. Again, it's a tricky one. It's a very, very tricky one. So if we've got the gap up to... So we'll go to the gaps here. So the gap to the lead is 28.7 seconds. It's gone down another couple of tenths. Sorry, gone up another couple of tenths. Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. Nick Madsen's going to need one hell of a lap. And Nick LaBouche and Sean Campbell are going to need a very, very tidy in-lap as well.
And don't forget Alex Gow as well. That's going to be interesting. I think Nick's coming to the pits. That looks like a pit Edgerton. I'm wrong. I think he's playing games for everybody now. I think he's playing games. I've been down this road before, so I know. I do see that. That to me was prime. He's coming in. That was like Mercedes getting the tire warmers off the tires, going out to the pit box and just confusing everybody. But no, nothing yet. But the more he does this, the more he does have issues and does get held up with traffic, and it does help. So we talk about Nick Madsen. We got to talk about Alex Gall, because Alex Gall, the gap between LaBouche and Gall is 25 seconds. For Madsen, it's 29 seconds. So those are the times we need to see. There's 4 seconds between the two of them, and they're the two Ferraris as well. So they're not going to get the power down like we are going to see with these BMWs. Of course, the turbo, the altitude. That always happens with the BMW, hence why there were engine performance, balance of performance when we came to Bathurst for iRacing. But here, just while we're just looking at this, Padderman and Hamilton just having battles here, and it's just what we've been seeing. And I think we are coming to that stage now of, hey, let's wait, and let's wait until we get the pit stops, and then I'll race you, because I am concerned that people are leaving it so late to pit. Because if I'm these drivers, I would want to pit early, so I could get back any mistakes. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get that right now. In fact, if LaBouche pits this lap, he'll have 12 to 11 to 10 seconds, 10 minutes, sorry, to try and get this position. And guess what? He stays out yet again.
On the flip side, though, now realistically, this is going to be a shorter pit stop. It's going to be a much shorter pit stop for Nick LaBouche, because if you think as well, he's going to be running at least 2 or 3 seconds less in the pit stop he's going to have to take, providing they take the same amount of fuel. So I think realistically this is going to be this could be working into Labuche's favour. A little bit further down, Ryan Hamilton now goes up the inside once again, squeezing on the outside Patterman ever so slightly, but just about enough to get away with it. Although Patterman tries to go, has to back out of it ever so slightly, but he's still got a good drive. Now coming down into turn 3. He's going to have to try and make sure, you see, that is going to be Hamilton making the defensive line, taking the defensive line straight away. Patterman as well, you got Warner S, that's just, perfect placement. Actually, again, that's not, I can't quite see who that is. There's Lamborghini up ahead. Can't quite see it. Is that possibly Alex Bennett? Again, I'm not 100% sure on the car itself, but ultimately Hamilton still fending off Patterman at the moment, and we do have as well being let by. And I think that's Cass Huguenot. That's not Cass Huguenot,
no,
so it must be.
Nedlick.
It is Nedlick. There we go.
Yeah.
So.
Comrades Racing Lamborghini there. Nedlick, he's trying to battle on. I don't think he's pitted yet either. So that's one to see. Now, Little Bush, he has had to go through traffic this lap, and he had to go through more traffic. So I'm just saying, in my head, I'm saying I pit right now. And lo and behold, I need to buy a lottery ticket because I was right the third time. He's coming into the pits here, the fast pit lane, as it usually is. Sean Campbell hasn't pitted. Why am I so surprised at that? Because Sean Campbell was leading the race at the start of this, and he had the issue of that when he used more fuel. But, LaRouche, in the pits, where is Alex Bennett? Where is... where is everybody? He goes in, he's out straight away. Oh, he's got issues. Oh, he merges through Patterman there. Merges through Patterman. Now he got lucky there coming out the pit. They both shared the same box. I don't see anybody. Kalasibi's coming up behind. Horton's 2 seconds behind. I think Labuche's done this, Where's Madsen? Madsen's only just coming around turn 3. I think Labuche's done this. That was a quick pit stop as well. And I think that may have just won in the race.
Well, it might have done, but let's not take into account again Sean Campbell. He's still going. He's one of the only people. Him, himself, and Alex Bennett are the only 2 people that haven't really pitted. Actually, saying that, Augusto Cassiami haven't pitted, and neither is Harley Hornton coming for their second pit stop. So they're, the later pit stops help. If you can run the car further for longer, it's going to help you. It 100% helps, realistically. Regardless of generally what happens. Not all of the time, though, but 9 times out of 10, the later pit stop helps. You're taking less fuel, you've got a lighter car. There's so many other benefits to it. Chris Rowley, again, and Thomas Reiter having a good battle. Oh, a bit of a squeeze there. Just a fraction from Reiter. Just on the limit, I think, of what's probably considered legal. And then Cody Pride, look at that. We've had some amazing moves from Cody Pride. Can he make it another couple? He's only got, look at that, 0.3 of a second. He's going to possibly up into P6. So he's got front row tickets here to see what goes on. It really, really drives the car into the corner, utilising the Porsche's party piece, which is just, frankly, being so late on the brakes. It almost makes everything else look silly on the braking here, especially with light fuel loads. Tries to go up the inside again of Wally, but nothing at the moment. And Reiter's wanting this to happen. He's wanting Pride to try and get past Wally, but he doesn't really want to have it happen too soon. Horton and Cassiama, you can just see on his timing towers are now into the pits. But Sean Campbell, again, still stays out. Less than 10 minutes to go.
And he has to pit. It's mandatory 2 pit stops. There's no I can fuel save and not pit stop. No, he has to take that pit stop. And I really wonder if it's now, if not now, when? Because he'll be losing time as he goes through. This battle, by the way, is fantastic with Pride, Wally, and Reiter. You can see that Pride wanted to make some moves, but of course, unable to because there's no gaps there. He could send it, but then he would just compromise everybody's position there. So no need to. There is a lapped amateur car there. Kaseki just up ahead now. Does Wally go for a move? He's trying to look for that move around the outside. It's not happening again. And they're just trying now. He's asking questions, and Reiter has the answers at the moment, which is vital. But when they come down now here, out of turn 3, down the straight into turn 4, could be a little bit of a pinch on at the moment. But Wally trying to go around the outside of turn 4. Not going to work. They almost come together. They come together. Yeah, That was never going to work, unfortunately, Wally, and he is going to lose that position to Cody Pry. And Pry now looking for a move as well. He sells the dummy, and Reiter gets on again, and now comes Wally. Wally comes around the outside of Cody Pry into 6 and 7, and now into 9. Can he hold this? 8, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. He cannot, and goes wide. Wally goes wide, and that just holds it off. All happening right now. It is all happening right now in the Pro-Ams. We're still waiting to see when Sean Campbell wants to pit. He's still not pitted. Neither is Alex Bennett. What is going on? There's 6 minutes left.
Do you know what happens, I think, as well? I want to. It's not going to be a Michael Schumacher style finish. They just come into the pits on the last lap, and then they cross the line into the pits. Is that legal?
I think they have pitted, because Nick LaBouche is in the lead. I think they have pitted. Sorry, my timing tower has gone wrong. They have pitted, and Campbell is P2 from LaBouche. I do apologize. So it's now a straight up battle between the two guys that started this to start the race. It's going to be LaBouche and Campbell for the final 6 minutes. There's a second and a half between the two of them. We have a Porsche Esports driver versus a versatile driver, and that's the best way to describe Sean Campbell. There's no, you could use as many words as you can. This man can drive anything, and he's driven the BMW this season just for the sake of it. He's won a series in the McLaren. He wants to try other things. He's using a BMW. He's not very experienced with the BMW, but he's going to give it a go. And there is the confirmation. Right now, you'll see it. LaBouche, Campbell, Gal, Bennett. The gaps are so spread out right now in the pros. I don't know if Campbell's going to be able to do this, The gap is 1.5 seconds. We're on about 45 of 48. That's going to have to be some drive by Sean if he wants to get this victory. And you can just see the times. Oof, it's less than a tenth between the two of them. It's the margins right now. It is the margins between... Yeah, it's just the margins, full stop. I'm running out of words right now. Look, they match each other practically. Now they're back level again. Can you find the words? I can't find the words.
Well, realistically, Sean Campbell's going to have to... Well, he's going to have to be committed for the moment. Now, he's got no one behind him. He's got Alex Gold, which is 2.5 seconds back. So, at this moment in time, another little bit of time pulled. Over the course of the lap, below the entire lap, Campbell is still ahead. It's only by about 200ths of a second.
Sorry, he just slid. He slid through turn 10.
Ooh.
You may see that in a minute. He lost a couple tenths there. I wouldn't be surprised if this did. Yeah, 2 tenths. Look at that. He slid, pushing it through turn 10. Probably just getting on the brakes. Probably a bit too late on just trying to shift down too quickly. Loses some time there, and he's lost some more time. Those tyres are not happy at the moment. And LaBouche is starting to pull away. Another couple tenths taken out of the time here. Gap is now 2 seconds. You can see it on the timing tower. It's Nick LaBouche's to lose at the moment. And that is crucial. But Alex Gal, he is going to try and fight this as well. He's also less than 2 seconds between him and Sean Campbell. There is a lap car of Ryan Hamilton between them, but this could cause some very close racing. And this is some close racing with Harley Horton and Kalasimi right here. Is there going to be a move? It's going to look a late move from Horton if he wants it. He's going to dart at the last moment, and look at that textbook. They come together though, and again another impact, and they come side by side, and Kalasimi will take that position. Almost looks like Harley could not turn that car. It felt to me like he locked the wheels up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you obviously with the ABS that within these cars, you won't necessarily have a full blown lockup. Tend to be what you'll find instead is, again, thinking about it from a tyre perspective, the tyre only has a certain amount of grip. Say it's got 100% worth of grip, obviously. If you're going into a braking zone, you're braking in a straight line using 100% of the tyre's grip to then brake. If you then try and turn, this is the entire art of trail braking, if you try and turn, you don't release any of the brakes, which I think was what happening there. Horton tried to get on the brakes very late, but realised, oh, hang on a minute, I need to start turning at this point. And at that point, all that happens is the car, you try and turn, but if you're still 100% on the brakes, well, the car's got nothing else to give. The tyres just don't have any more grip to give, and that's when they start pushing. So you start to understeer. Car doesn't do what you want it to do. The ABS is kicking in because it's not locking the brakes, stopping the brakes locking up as well. So that's probably what happened there. So just a fraction too late on the brakes. Again, it's a very minor. It's very minor. It doesn't need to be too late on the brakes because of the pace of these guys and the pace of these drivers. It's so close. You've got to really, in some of these cases, you've got to try and sort of send it and, in a way, if you've got some confidence in the car, just lean on the car a bit. But it was just a little bit too much.
It's all going on now. The leaders are on the penultimate lap of the race, and the gap was 1.5 seconds, and it's going up again as Campbell has to navigate traffic. You're just watching Olaf Salmqvist versus Simon Dodd right here near the middle of the amateur field. I don't think there will be a move from Salmqvist yet. He's going to try for it, but he realizes better of it. He will not go for that late move. We're keeping our eyes everywhere at the moment. By the way, is Will Richardson leading the way for the Pro-Ams from Svenny Mattis, and there's 4 seconds gap there. In the amateurs, it is still Johan Astin leading the way by 10 seconds on Frederick Roy. So that just shows you those battles at the front of the field for those two classes have been pretty quiet while all these battles are going on. Now, here's a quick replay of Thomas Dandridge. Ethan Bass just flashing his lights there in the background, and what happens here? Dandridge trying to go around the outside, and ooh. Now, why has they come together there? That's interesting there. That's an interesting, not sure what's happened. Anyway, final lap, 2 seconds, 2.3 seconds. Labush has clear air. It's Johan Assin is 8 seconds up the road. Sean Campbell, he needs a lap of the gods, and I don't think it's going to happen right now. But there are other battling on at the moment. Harley Horton, I see Harley Horton is still trying to fight. We see Ethan Batt as well, battling for second in the Pro-Ams. He's got Reynolds in the middle of it, but Mathiasen, is battling there as well. I'm keeping my eyes as well. We got eyes everywhere. Harley Horton trying to go around the outside. I'm looking at Harley Horton. Harley Horton's just made a move around the outside on Kalasimi and cannot make it stick. And there we go right here. You can just see the aftermath of it. The inside was compromised there from Augusto. And I don't think Horton's going to be able to hold on to this. The clock finally hit 1 hour and 15. Will there be any moves here from Horton? There will be none. And still, the Bush, he's almost got this. He's almost got this. He's a few corners away. This battle, though, is vital. What can Horton do? He was championship leader. Any point he picks up will be a bonus right here. He does not want this to be a drop week yet. He does not want that to play factor. He's going to try and make a move here into turn 8. It's not going to work. Can he try and send that car into the inside of turn 9? It's not going to work, but it is going to work for Nick LaBouche. He comes across the start-finish line. Here he comes. He started second. What a drive from the pro driver. Nick LaBouche wins at Interlagos with Sean Campbell getting a convincing second. Alex Gow will get third. Is this battle still brewing? You bet it is. It's going to be a sprint to the finish between Horton and Kalasimi, and the inside belongs to Horton. There is no slipstream here. Inside to Horton, outside Kalasimi. Who's got the better power? It's going to be a close one. It is going to be a drag, and I think Augusto's got this. I think Augusto's going to get this. A limited slipstream for Harley. Not going to be enough. Augusto will take that P9. What a finish there.
Absolutely. Have a look at this, though, in the Pro-Am category as well. We had Will Richardson come across the line. He'll be coming across in just a few seconds. So there he goes. There is Will Richardson taking that Pro-Am victory. Fantastic stuff. Svenny Mattisson only a couple of seconds behind. There he is. But ultimately, then more importantly, have a look at this. Ethan Bass, P3 in the Ford. With Daniel Sedgley just a few moments behind. Look at that. What a drive from the Ford there. Texsense Fitzy car, the number 19. It's great to see the Ford up there, isn't it?
Absolutely love seeing the Ford. You're never going to take that away from me. That's fantastic to see Ethan do one hell of a drive to get that car up there. And also shout out as well to the amateurs. Great battling all the way around for the amateurs. And I think Johan Asson is finally about to cross the line. He will take victory in the amateurs. What a drive. We haven't talked about him at all. What a great drive from the slow-mo driver. As another member of that team slow-mo who gets on the top step for them. Fantastic for him. Frederick Droy will get P2, of course, and he was a lap down. So yeah, so Asson was the last car to cross the line. Crazy. We started with 54th. 23 of them were on the lead lap to end the race.
Good stuff. Like I said, a good finishing. But we're going to get the official finishing positions on the grid up on the screen for you in a few moments' time. A few more cars to come across the line though, and then we will be calling it there and getting up your results up, as well as having a little bit of an interview with a couple of drivers as well. And as we see everyone now coming into the pits, I think the results are going to be coming up for you in a few moments' time. We're going to have a look at the Pro category first, then we'll go down to Pro-Am, and then subsequently Am as well. But let us take a look. And here we go, the Pro-Am category. Here is your official confirmation. So Nick Labish takes for the Urano Esports car, the number 94, taking the victory. Sean Campbell second. Alex Goulding P3 with Alex Bennett fourth. Nick Madsen takes your P5 in the Mag Performance SRT car, 13 seconds behind. Cass Huguenot P6 overall, respectable drive from him, with Robin Veerman in seventh. Max Vangler 8th, Augusto Cassiami in P9 with Holly Hornson rounding out the top 10 for Full Send Racing. Martin Nedelik in P11 with Stuart Reynolds in 12th. 13th was, and we had P13, P14, P15, P16, P17 as well. At the back with James Armstrong. That's Harry Wills, Frederick Botez. That is Milton T-Cans, Danny Race, James Armstrong not able to finish this race. That is your pro field. Let's have a quick look at the Pro-Am category as well. So Will Richardson from Avanti Racing in the number 44, taking the race victory. Svenja Matheson in the slow-mo car, number 12, taking P2 with Ethan Bass in TechSense Fitzy car, the number 19 Ford in third place. Fantastic drive from him. Daniel Sedgley P4, Thomas Andrews P5, Thomas Reiter in P6 with Chris Wally 7th, Chris Addison in P8 with Joachim Code in 9th, and Cody Pride unfortunately dropping another couple of positions in P10. Nick DeRick taking P11, a lap down. So does Ryan Hamilton, Michael Patterman, Daniel Gilding, Valentine Amblad, and Eric Betson in up to P16, all a lap down as well. And then Albin Kellberg, 35 laps down, unfortunately unable to finish. And then finally, your Am category. We have taken a very dominant race win. That is Johan Assen, Frederick Droy, and Tira Sauterhaug. Apologies again for name pronunciations. They are your top three. Edson Manguera P4, Dean Timms in 5th with Werner S in 6th, Francois Pedrao in 7th, Simon Dodd 8th, Ola Sarkvist 9th, and Dylan Kinch rounding out your top 10 for TT Sim Sport. Levi Johnson P11, Magma Jonland in 12th, Gert Gisecki in P13. That is Ashraf El Haddad in 14th, Mark Bailey P15, James Warren 16th, Simon Chester 17th, with Dave Meakin taking P18. And then we have Henning Haig as well, 41 laps behind, Ingo Lapsian in P20 overall for the Am category. And that is your official finishing results for round number 2.
That is the official results, and we're just going to have some quick interviews. Well, I say quick interviews. I could spend all night with this driver, because bringing the Ford to the podium for the Pro-Ams is Ethan Bass. Ethan, congratulations. It is so nice to see that car back where I think we both say it deserves on the podium. So fantastic. What a good drive there. Talk us through it, because it looked like it was a bit of a survival of the fittest at some stages.
You would be correct about that statement, yes. There were, I think, 2 big kind of like incident quotation marks that I had to avoid, kind of thing. Otherwise, it could possibly have been a repeat of Daytona.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll gloss over Daytona, of course. I remember, unfortunately, what happened there. Now, of course, we know that it's a fuel-saving track, and we also know what the Ford has in terms of a tank, in terms of an engine, a gearbox, yada yada yada. So, how much fuel saving were you doing during the length of that race? Because it looked like you were also making your way up the positions while you were doing that.
When I was behind in the first stint, I was trying to mostly just kind of keep with the pack. The temperatures actually rose a lot more than I thought, so naturally the car just wasn't using as much fuel because you're going at a certain enough pace. Once I came out and I noticed that I was behind the BMW train, it was a case of, okay, start saving fuel, have a really short second stop, which almost went to plan, but we caught traffic and I bailed one lap too early and put a bit too much fuel in the car. So I might have gotten damage if I fueled a bit less, but I was able to stay with him, so I was just hoping to have some kind of run on him at some point. He was so fast in the straight. He definitely had a better setup than some, so it was a good fun fight.
Yeah, talk us through that traffic though, because we had a moment where I think 4 of you were battling at one stage, and we were trying to commentate on it while also like putting our hands over our eyes there. So, what was the traffic like, and like what is it like for those who don't know Interlagos? What is it like in those trains, in those battles, in trying to find an inch, because it is a very tight track. So, how did you find it?
It was a case of there are many opportunities where you think you could dive bomb somebody, you could go for an overtake like into turn 1, but it's more a case of if you're in this 3-4 car train, you're honestly just better to wait for them to make a mistake to go for it, because all you do is cost yourself time and then you possibly lose the draft from the back, so leading pack in front. So I was just sitting pretty in fourth. I did have one attempt on Danvers because I legitimately got alongside before we even got anywhere close to the breaking point, and we went through turn 1, 2, 3, kind of sent it as a side by side. So I was kind of like, I have the opportunities there, let's go for it rather than force opportunities. It didn't work out, but we fortunately got lucky avoiding, I think it was Chris Wally and apologies to the other driver, I forget their name, but they tangled at the fast uphill double right-hander apex, I think, and we just thankfully benefited from it.
So we're going from the treacherous conditions of Interlagos. Next week it's Le Mans. What are we expecting from the Ford? Because it's long straights, it's going to be high speed. Something tells me the Ford's not going to enjoy that.
No, because similar to what happened at Daytona, everyone will be forced to run the two-wing, which means there is no top speed advantage to any car with the current drag philosophy of GT3 cars. To try and gain a really massive straight line speed, you need to go to a track where downforce is imperative. And cars like the Ford and BMW are really good on downforce, they're really efficient, so they don't always need as much wing. So tracks like Le Mans and Daytona aren't actually going to be all that favourable. I'll be able to run maybe more rake and have it a bit faster through the boards of curves, but we'll have to see how it goes. I'll still be best on fuel consumption, apart from Ferraris. Ferraris are actually best on fuel. But it should still be a fun race, but it'll be again a race of playing it smart and only taking opportunities when they come, instead of forcing them and potentially coming off course.
Yeah, of course. I'm just gonna, before we let you go, of course, is there any shout outs you have before you let you go off into the sunset?
I have to thank the Fitstyle boys. We've got a good bit of banter on the chat. I know there's a couple of people watching, and it's good to have people cheering you on. And for sponsors, it's great to have like some tech sets on board, Renville on board, fight colorectal cancer as we search for a cure for that, Demon Tweaks, and Sim3D.
Well, Ethan, thank you very much. Congratulations on a podium in the Ford. I love it. You love it. I think everyone loves seeing it. So hopefully we'll see it next week on the podium. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But all the best, Ethan, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks very much. That was good fun. Hopefully, I'll qualify better, because that was part of the downside of Daytona.
Yeah, all the best, Ethan.
Thanks very much, lads. I'll watch that back later.
So, Daniel, that looks to be it for the night. I'm just seeing if there's anybody else just coming in for interview. Unfortunately, there is not. So I think we should call it a night there. And it's been a great night in Interlagos. It's been fantastic for the last 75 minutes. And thank you, everybody, for sticking with us and watching through the qualifying and, of course, through the race. If you do like what you see, please consider hitting the subscribe button and that thumbs up to help us with the YouTube algorithms. Underneath the video, of course, is a link to all the sponsors. So once again, thank you to Sim3D. Thank you to Race Anywhere as well for being the premier sponsor for the series. Daniel will be back for the Race Anywhere the Transatlantic Series coming up later tonight. But from us, for the World Series, it is good evening. We will see you next Wednesday at Le Mans. So until then, take it easy and take care.